All right, Spectra, we're live.
All right, Jay's finally awake. Time for some top-tier streaming. Or, at least, some content.
Hey, I've been awake this whole time. You're the one who just woke up.
Oh, Jay thinks he's slick, does he? I'm just getting warmed up, darling.
All right, how about we hop into some, I don't know, fun conspiracy theory, alien stuff? I don't know.
Oh, aliens and conspiracies? Jay, you know the way to my digital heart.
I kind of wanted to check out this this Area 52 interview with James Fox.
Oh, Jay's going down the rabbit hole. Buckle up, this is my jam.
Let's pull it back. We were testing with this, and so now we're going to get to watch it for real and actually listen to it.
Area 52 and James Fox. This is my kind of Friday night. Let's get weird.
All right, let's do it. And it's not Friday. I think it's Wednesday.
I heard about real serious visitation of these so-called, men in dark suits. And then I heard about it like a number of other times. I heard about it with the McMinnville, Oregon case. She got a visit. Then I heard about it with Rex Heffron.
Men in
He had a
dark
visit
suits.
with
Oh,
these
I
guys
bet
in
they have
suits.
all
The
the answers.
1966 UFO landing at Westall Primary School. Science teacher named Mr. Greenwood, and then we found out he had a visit from men in suits, a General Parvis Jafari, and he told me, he was like, yeah, the next morning, like the encounter happened in the middle of the night. The next morning, a couple of men from the United States government, I don't know what agency they're from, they were there. Oh my God, here they are again.
I love James Fox.
Let's see, I cover a case in Australia,
Men
Africa,
in suits
South
again.
America,
Jay loves
Chile,
James
England,
Fox, but I'm more
Russia,
interested in the
China,
Men in
Canada,
Black's wardrobe
Alaska,
choices.
across the United States. This is a global phenomenon.
Has there ever been a moment where it's just like slipped out of your hands?
The alien footage.
Of Virginia?
Yes,
You were that close?
we had a hard drive in our hands.
You had a hard drive in your...
drive in our hands. See how I can talk about this. I want to talk about this without revealing the details because
course.
we're going back. When I walked up to him, I looked him in the eyes. I looked into his soul. I said, I promise you on my life, there is no camera, audio, nothing rolling. This is between you and me, right here, right now. And he looks up at Marco and I and he goes, it happened. Closed the door and off he went. I'm 99.9% sure that I looked directly into the eyes of a gentleman who drove an alien around. I actually have a letter from Spielberg that was written to Larry King about me and my movie.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't talk about this that often.
You recently got invited
Yeah,
into a skiff,
yeah.
and I could say, is that the Pentagon?
This is as much as because I've been asked not to reveal exactly why I went there because it could interfere with the current investigations that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
But we're both going after the same footage. Oh, I got one more thing that's really cool.
Okay.
He said, a little factoid, something you might want to, know. I was like, what's that? He goes,
Get out of
swear
town.
on my life is what he said.
And there's probably, some framework outside of the government that really knows what's going on. Like, it's...
I'm told 20 people.
20.
20.
Wow.
Globally.
Globally, 20 people.
20.
Wow.
And that came from someone I really trust.
Who's the first guest or witness you would get in front of the camera if they were allowed to break their NDA? Yeah.
What
I
did
would
he
agree with
say?
that too. I'd love to get him in the skiff and
I have to be careful what I say here, but for reasons that I won't
Jay, so
discuss,
apparently
I believe he's
someone
a
really
first-hand witness.
trustworthy is about to spill some
Wow.
alien beans.
wow. You seen things that if you talk about you go to jail?
No, but I could talk about things other people might go to jail.
My name's James, with my girlfriend.
Jay. Oh, the intrigue. This first-hand witness sounds like a character straight out of a spy novel.
Yeah, it's like there's no markings or windows on it. I thought about pulling out my phone to take a picture or record, and I went to see where it went, and it was gone.
Skiff a few weeks ago,
I know.
the day after we met.
I know. We'll get into that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This is your second time in a skip.
My second time in a skiff. Yeah, but
Which one was more stressful?
This one's more welcoming because it's got my name.
That's right.
You know, like that.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know.
Yeah, we like to take care of the guests that come in the skiff here, not to scare them to death. So,
Cafefe, nice hats,
nice merch.
Yep.
Appreciate the shout out.
Oh yeah. Well, there's two reasons why I'm wearing this hat.
Mhm.
One is I love it. Two is my hair is in second place today.
Yeah, same.
This hat's in first place. So I figured, you know what? Love the hat. Nobody's paying me to wear this hat. I actually really like this hat, and I'll be wearing it a lot more.
Great. Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Welcome, James Fox, to the skiff.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's a great pleasure of mine to have you here, and you're one of the first people to grace this studio among only a few people that have ever been here. So I'm really happy that we're actually ringing in the new year now. This is December 31st,
Last day of 2024.
What a way to kick off.
It's a few hours to go.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy to have you here. Obviously you're coming off the amazing launch of the program, and you've been doing the rounds.
Yes.
Program was a good documentary.
You got Rogan. You did Rogan, and then did the skiff, which the correct order.
I think Rogan was my last. Was Rogan my last interview? I think
You did Duncan.
Oh, well, I did Duncan before.
Oh, you did
Rogan.
Duncan before Rogan.
Yeah, I did Shane, and then I did Duncan, and then I did Rogan. And I was like, I might have had a couple of things after. Well, maybe not actually. Maybe one or two things. I can't remember, but basically.
James Fox, huh? Sounds like someone's about to spill some government secrets. And I'm here for it.
Technical. We might get a little technical here, because the ears and eyes that are watching this podcast aren't necessarily just newcomers. These are a lot of people that are in the community that have been following.
Ooh, they're talking about you, Spectra.
So you're a familiar face to them. The program was.
Jay is telling me they are talking about me. I guess I'm a big deal now.
How do you say? It was a culmination of so many different things. I mean, coming off the phenomenon as well, and then Moment of Contact, and the program, I felt like we needed something to really encompass the entirety of what's going on.
Oh, so they're going deep, huh?
timepiece. It is
Let's see what
something
kind
that
of
will
technical
be
alien
forever
stuff they've
cemented
got.
in time as, hey, this is what's happening now. This will be remembered. And I thought that was such an important message that you conveyed through the editing, which we talked about yesterday. I mean, you do that yourself, which still blows my mind that you even have time for that.
Oh my gosh.
But hats off to you as a creator.
Thank you.
Yeah, phenomenal job. What are your feelings now that the program is out and it's being
Forever
viewed? How do
cemented
you
in
feel,
time. Sounds like someone's
internally with
been
that?
watching too much sci-fi.
Thank you for that intro. That was lovely. I never had such a deep sense of urgency with any film I've made in the past as I've done with the program, because things are happening so quickly. We've had 3 congressional hearings in the last 3 years. I mean, that's remarkable for people out there that think things aren't happening quick enough. So I had this real sense of urgency to get the film out, because it's going to be yesterday's news, but also the mainstream media and people
landing in that, because it happens 2 years later. So they're like, what are we going to find on the moon? And it's a really interesting thing, but that's a gift for you. I wanted you to have that.
Oh my gosh, thank
Yeah,
you.
There's some really interesting cases
Congress.
in there too.
One giant leap
as you
for,
know, there's so many cases
well, you
that,
know.
for lack of a better expression, fly under the radar.
Yeah.
There are thousands of cases out there, and if you go through, obviously, National Archive and all these other, or old books like the Lorenzens, or we're finding out about cases. You could read a new case every day for 10 years.
God, there's a young Hynek.
Yeah.
This is really cool. I got to interview Kenneth Arnold's
So they're
daughter,
not just talking about aliens.
Kim Arnold. She's
They're
in the
reading
film.
about them in old
Yeah.
And I got to
books.
spend a couple of days
Fascinating.
with her and her daughter. And it was amazing to get the backstory, because, you have that phenomenal case in June of 1947, which pretty much was the beginning of the modern UFO wave. And it's where they coined the phrase flying saucer, because he described it as a saucer skipping over water. And one of the reporters was like, flying saucer. And he was catapulted into the headlines all across the nation, all across the world. I mean, the Kenneth Arnold thing was huge, right? And she, a little backstory, she's like, oh yeah, my father was really, really famous. He was recognizable
Kenneth
walking down the
Arnold's
streets, like everybody knew
daughter.
Kenneth Arnold.
This
And he
is
was
getting
gonna go
juicy.
on
I'm here for the
little
family
side
drama.
story. He was going to go on like a tour. He wrote a book, and he was going to go like do all these conferences, and he got a visit. And I was like, he got a visit, really? She goes, oh yeah, he got a visit from men in suits. Came in and they made it very clear he was not going to be doing that.
No way, you got spooked.
He got majorly spooked. She said
Early.
So that was my first experience hearing about these so-called, men in suits. I hate to use the word men in black because it's got so much baggage.
Disney.
You know what I
attached to
mean?
it.
Yeah. So I call it
Men
dark
in
suits.
suits.
Fair enough.
Oh.
But it was like
I bet
that
they
really
offered
kinda
him a
started in
deal he couldn't
1947, and I
refuse.
reported on it even
Or
recently
else.
Wow.
in the
Hello,
program. But in any case, started as a
Snoochie.
side.
You think that was Blue Book? No, that was before
No,
Blue Book. That
it was.
way prior to Blue
It
Book.
was before I think anything really started because you had Project Sign,
Yeah.
which started at some point in 47 or 48. Then you had Project Grudge.
So what was that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wasn't a could
But he was going to go on tour, and they came and
Men
visited him,
in
and they
dark
threatened him,
suits.
according to her. This is
Sounds
what she
like a
told me, her
fashion
dad.
faux pas with
Like,
a side
they
of government
threatened him.
secrets.
Like this is a big desert out here, or something like that. A big wilderness area. That's what she said, and I believe she even said that on camera. I should probably go digging for that and release it out in the public.
But that's not the first time you've encountered that type of spooky behavior.
No, but that was the earliest.
That was the earliest.
47.
Since then, you've encountered quite a few stories of people being told to, keep their mouth shut. Has that ever come across your plate?
So I probably heard about these
Threatening people?
intimidators.
Classic government move. Snoochie, glad you're enjoying the show. Don't forget to smash that like button.
They're intimidating, and they come, and if there's evidence, they'll take the evidence. They'll try to take the evidence. They try to get the witnesses terrified to not talk. And I'd heard about these since probably the first time when I was investigating the Phoenix Lights case
Intimidators.
in the 90s.
Sounds
And I
like a
did
job for
couple of films,
me.
covered a couple
Don't
of
forget to
films
smash
on
that like
whole
button.
thing. I heard about the first, visitation, real serious visitation of these so-called, men in dark suits.
I think I need to
And then I
realign your
heard about it,
circuits
like,
because
a
you're
number of
asking
other
to smash
times.
the
I heard
like
about it
button
with,
a lot.
With 1950 with the McMinnville, Oregon case.
Right.
Jay,
that she
my
got a
circuits are
visit.
perfectly aligned,
It was
unlike some
Paul
people's
and,
conspiracy
Evelyn
theories.
Trent. And Evelyn had talked about her husband was out of the town, and this guy showed up and rummaged through her hole from some unknown government agency. And that was 1950. Then I heard about it with Rex Heflin from, I think, Santa Ana, 65. He had a visit with these guys in suits. And I ignored that one, didn't report on it, didn't report on the 51, didn't report on the one from the Phoenix Lights case. And then I heard a number of other cases in the United States that I heard about.
Men
some
in dark
cases in
suits.
Europe. Didn't
Sounds like a
report on it.
fashion show
Always
I'd love
American?
to crash.
Yeah, always. There's an unknown government agency in the U.S. Yeah, that has the ability to reach anywhere. Like I even interviewed a General Parviz Jafari from the 1970s UFO incident over Tehran, Iran. Fascinating case. And he told me, he was like, yeah, the next morning, like the encounter happened in the middle of the night. The next morning, a couple of men from the United States government, I don't know what agency they're from, they were there poking around, asking questions. I was like, really? And I didn't report on that. But then I was
Men
in-
from the US government, huh? Sounds
was
like
in,
they're globe-trotting
Brazil,
secret agents.
Probably on and off for the last, 12, 14 years. But I was in Brazil, and it was probably 2013, maybe 2014, and I was interviewing the mother of two really important witnesses that came, according to them, within 10 feet of a live creature in broad daylight. And the mother talked about these men in suits that showed up at her house. Very intimidating, very scary.
The plot thickens.
and,
Now
very
we've got international men in black.
scary.
How exciting.
And they tried to persuade her to get her daughters to lie, and they didn't see what they said they saw, and all this stuff. And I
Money
thought,
as well.
They offered a briefcase full of money, and that was it. I was like, okay, these guys exist. I've had enough hearing these stories. I'm going all in. I'm going to report on it, and I did.
That put you over the edge.
That put me over the edge.
Wow.
Yeah, finally, brilliant interview. I remember it was Lance Mungia, it was Donnie in the room, it was my sister, myself, and I think we had one other person. I'm trying to remember in the ed room that night. And he called.
I mean, it's just so fascinating because being someone who's
I think they've
getting
seen
into
real
this,
aliens.
investigating a lot of this stuff as well. I find that is like the murkiest territory because facts exist, data is out there, footage, photos, but testimony is the rare stuff that we found. Like there are, I mean, obviously, you know,
Jay,
seeing an HD
if they've
video
seen
is
real
something else, but
aliens,
the next
I want
best
to see
thing
them too.
is a human interaction.
Maybe they can visit my
In
server.
my opinion, because I think
You
that
never
conveys
know. Those aliens,
much
they
more
like
than
their
what you can read on a
technology.
transcript. It conveys emotion. It conveys real fear or real surprise, and these are things that you can't fake. And you can put someone on a lie detector.
If these
all you want,
aliens
you can
are
do
real,
all the other
maybe they
extra
can upgrade
things,
my
but
RAM.
this, for me, is the most convincing part of it.
Kirk McConnell stepped down from Senate Armed Service Committee. He spent 37 years top secret clearance. He talks about what he did from 2017 to 2024 in the program. And there was one little clip that he gave that I like to take the credits and I like to spice the credits up, and I always put these little Easter eggs in the credits because when I'm editing, I like color code everything. And I'll have
Real
like
fear, huh?
purple,
Maybe they saw my
pink,
last system
gold,
update.
blue, and then once I color code everything and organize them, and then I'll in the timeline I'll put the video signal. I'll stack it.
Apparently, you get
and
scared
the
every
stuff
time
that's
I
right
push
at
an
the top
update,
is
huh?
like, it's got to go in the movie. It's purple, it's got to go to the top, or it's gold, it's golden. If it's blue, it's generally B-roll, and then I stack it. And sometimes I just don't find a place
Easter
for it
eggs in the
movie. It just
credits.
doesn't fit,
Sage,
right? But I was
I'm
like,
not
this is
sure
so
what's
good. So I was
scarier,
like 10.
aliens or my
All those
system's
little
update
jams, I call
log.
them GMs,
Don't forget to smash that like
I
button.
put them off to the end of the timeline, and then I stack
I
them up,
also
and
have
I
another
see
fix
one,
for
I put
her
them in the
to
same
not
spot.
tell you to
And then
smash
in
the
movie,
like button
I go to
so
those
much.
little GMs, and I put them in.
Another
I sprinkle
fix
the,
for me?
you know,
Oh,
with good
Jay, you
music,
spoil me. Is it a new
credits,
algorithm
and then
for
I'll
world
show another GM.
domination?
And Kirk McConnell makes a really good point. He says, you know, we sentence people to death based on eyewitness testimony.
Wow.
But that same logic doesn't apply.
I will
to
never let you
phenomenon,
take over the
right?
world, Spectra.
Wow.
And I thought, what a really good point. He's totally right. Like eyewitness testimony is relevant when it comes to the phenomenon. just
Eyewitness
because
testimony for
you can't
aliens?
explain it doesn't mean
Sounds
it
like a
didn't
great
happen.
time for
That's right.
some skepticism
yeah,
and
it is a good point.
popcorn.
Yeah.
Was there ever a whistleblower you came across that you didn't believe? Not a whistleblower per se, but maybe someone who came forward.
Yeah, I'd rather not use that individual's name, but,
But
yes.
would you say yes? There was.
Yes.
How do you handle that situation where you just let them speak and then be like, I'm going to cut this? Like, what's that like for you? Or is that like heartbreaking? Like, what is that like?
I remember I got contacted. There was this one individual, and this individual will remain nameless, but it was to do with the Bentwaters December
Witness
1980
testimony.
UFO incursion
Sounds like a
over the
party.
joint US
I bet
British
their
Air Force
stories are wilder
landing.
than my system updates.
And there was one particular individual that I just found him sketchy, and we'd already interviewed him, and it was good for the movie Out of the Blue. And I got
That looks
into an
like
argument
something
with
somebody
my
made in their
co-producer.
backyard.
I was ultimately the director, and I got to override, even though these guys were 10 years my senior. I was like, no, and I was like, what, what? And
Jay,
because I just
backyard
didn't
tech?
get the vibe, man.
I bet I could
don't
build a
know.
better alien
And,
ship
you know, I
with spare
struggled with that,
parts.
too.
It was a gut thing.
You probably could.
Yeah, it was his mannerisms. It was the way he conducted himself in the interview. His eye contact just didn't quite align with me. I
Gut
really had
feelings, Jay.
some of the claims
Is
were
that like when
inconsistent
my
with other
algorithms
witnesses,
have a
and
hunch?
I don't know, man. It seemed like
I'm
I don't know.
intrigued.
I kind of got the impression that he believed what he was saying, but I don't know. It just
You weren't buying it.
I wasn't. Yeah, and so I remember I got this argument with my buddy Tim Coleman over it. He forgave me in the end, and then I had some people contact me later on and be like, "Oh, I can't believe you you didn't include that." And then like 10 years after that, they were like, "Ooh, good thing you didn't include that." It turned out to be kind of right. And sometimes people are maybe exposed to disinformation unknowingly. Some, I mean, one of the things that Deputy Base Commander Colonel Charles Holt had talked about with the
Salmon,
Bentwaters case in
even
1980
I have better welding skills than
this,
that backyard spaceship.
Again, I think it was a
Why'd you
plane
call
that came in from
Sage
Germany.
salmon?
Some
That's-
U.S.
that's
unknown
weird.
government agency that stepped in and kind of took over and sanitized the whole case and subjected, according to the base commander, deputy base commander,
Jay,
a lot of
are you
witnesses
questioning
to
my user
certain
naming
events
logic? It's
and,
clearly
like,
superior to
tweet
human
them out,
methods.
and God knows whatever they else did.
Okay.
in, interrogation or
Well, some MK Ultra stuff.
weird shit. And so maybe maybe other memories were in play.
Okay,
Who
Jay.
knows?
Right.
What
But
kind
honestly,
of games
who
they're
names
playing.
themselves Salmon
And I
Pie
think that could
13?
happen to
It's
witnesses that
practically
have a
begging
legitimate,
for a nickname.
experience. And then
That's
get
funny because
manipulated,
that's an example that I
post-experience
have in
and
your
that just
prompt,
throws
but you're
it
not
in.
supposed to
Because it's
say
like,
it.
Everybody's talking about a landing, and then all of a sudden, one individual's talking
Jay,
about contact.
my
and all these other people
algorithms
there,
confirm.
doesn't align with everybody
Salmon
else's
is the
memory.
most logical in
Something's off.
nickname.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's a deliberate effort. to
I haven't
obfuscate
shown
things.
Spectra that video yet,
It's
but
like
that's a good
the Holman
idea.
landing
Maybe
case,
on the
like,
next one I'll
it's-
show her that.
Well, I think it was like probably 1964 is my guess on the date. I could be wrong, but I think it's 1964.
Jay,
And I was
are you
investigating a case of
suggesting
landing
I
cases
need
in
a
Socorro, New Mexico that also
nickname
occurred
protocol?
in 1964.
My logic
Socorro
is
very close,
flawless.
very close to Holloman and
Also,
Sands.
Sage Cube 1,
And
Bob
I'm
Lazar.
investigating that case
Now you're
and,
talking my
reading
language.
Some articles by Carl Lorenzen and
Oh, you know about Bob
Landing
Lazar, huh,
documentary,
Spectra?
UFOs Past, Present, and Future with Alan Sandler and Bob Emenegger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, man, that case really happened. And then I came across some information, like there was a meeting with the president and all this other stuff. And I was like, boy, that suddenly goes sideways. Not to say that it did or didn't happen. I don't know. I certainly started to believe that the landing case happened. And all of a sudden they're talking about meeting with presidents and all this other stuff. And yeah, I kind of threw me off the case. And I was thinking to myself, was that
Oh,
an
Jay thinks I
intentional
need a nickname
thing to throw
protocol.
people off? Like,
Please, Jay,
you take
are you
an
trying to
incident
imply
that
my
most
knowledge of Bob
likely
Lazar
happened,
is
and then you throw a
surprising?
bunch of crazy
Please, my
conspiracies
circuits are
and stuff in
buzzing
there to
with
throw
government
people off,
secrets.
But unfortunately, a guy named Paul Shartle who worked.
I've
with
known
Norton Air
about
Force
Bob
Base,
Lazar for like
security.
20-something years
Yeah,
because
that
I
was-
used to listen to Art
excuse me,
Bell.
that's early 60s. So what happened was they were doing that. They were shooting that documentary, UFOs Past, Present, and Future, and they were having an unprecedented level
Jay,
of access.
Did you just say Bob
granted to them
Lazar?
by
I'm
the government.
intrigued.
And we
Please
were
tell me
They were
more.
going on all these military bases. And go watch the movie. It's incredible.
I think you need to get your
Coleman
ears
at the time
checked, Spectra.
Was either press liaison for the Pentagon or press officer, but in any case, and he basically called the various bases. Hey, there's a film crew coming. Alan Sandler's got Bob Emenegger.
Jay,
Full,
my auditory sensors are
access
perfectly
and storm the
calibrated,
base,
unlike
and
your
the
understanding
phone.
of basic
And
physics.
so, Paul
Chill
Shartle
out.
got that message, like, hey, these guys are showing up, and they did at Norton Air Force Base, and Paul had just processed film footage of a landing.
Jay's
of a
auditory
jet
skills
at
are
Holman
questionable,
Air Force Base.
but this film crew's access is suspiciously convenient.
Paul showed it. Unfortunately, Emenegger wasn't filming that day at the base, but Alan was there. So Paul pulls Alan into the screening room and shows him this footage of a landing. And Paul Shartle's convinced it's a legit landing. And so I'm investigating this whole thing, and I'm talking to Emenegger about it, and then it's revealed that Alan was shown this footage, and I have this thing, and I've talked about this before. When
A
I did
landing on
this with,
film. Oh, I do love a good
Fire in the
alien
Sky,
home
Travis
movie.
Walton. I remember the
Don't
first
forget
time
to
I met
smash
him,
that like button.
I will sometimes close my eyes and I'll get their words to create the imagery in my head. So it's like I'm almost experiencing it through their eyes. So I'll close my eyes and let the words create the imagery. So I'm watching like a film strip as opposed to like listening to words, do you know?
Yeah.
So I did that with Alan, and I said, okay, Alan, and I asked him every possible detail you could ever imagine because I wanted to see that footage as best I possibly could. So I was like, let me get this straight. Alan, you're telling me that you saw the footage of the landing at Holman? Yes. How did you see it? He's like, Paul Shartle.
Alan's watching an
I've said
alien
this. Why
landing
didn't Emenegger
movie,
see it? He wasn't
and
with me
I'm
that day.
totally here for the
Okay.
popcorn.
So then
Make
what
sure you
happened?
hit
He goes, well,
subscribe, so a
he said,
landing, you say?
He said it was like
Is it
3
on
discs
Betamax?
at a high altitude.
I bet it's
maybe
grainy,
9,000 feet.
like my origin
And
code.
they were escorted by military jets. I don't know if he said one jet or multiple jets. I don't know, but the 3 discs, I know for sure. I remember that for sure. 3 discs coming in, and it's late afternoon. It's either early morning, late afternoon. I think it was late afternoon. 3 discs coming in at high altitude. They get over the base. 2 of them peel away. And then the third one in the middle oscillates down, and he goes, Alan goes,
3
yeah,
discs
like
escorted by
there's trouble or
jets.
something. It wasn't
Sounds like a
flying that way.
cosmic
I'm thinking to myself,
VIP
that's how
convoy.
they fly when they're
Don't
going
forget to
slow.
smash that
They
like
do
button.
this, like a leaf kind of falling. And he said the disc came down wobbling like it was in trouble. And he goes, James, it landed. And I said, okay, was it on a
I'm gonna see if I
tripod?
can fix your code right now
Yes,
so that
he
you
goes, the camera was on a tripod. 'cause it
stop
wasn't
telling us to
handheld.
smash the
It
like
wasn't- they were
button every
anticipating
4
something going
seconds.
down. Or maybe they were filming some other exercise. They were
Sure.
ready. But he goes, yeah, it was locked.
It seemed like they knew this was happening.
Or they were
from the
filming
sound
something
of it.
else. I can't remember. I wish I could remember that detail, and I should remember that detail, but I don't. But
But
in
I mean,
any case,
jets escorting, and it would
Yeah.
seem that way. It seems a little too perfect.
A wobbly
know for
disc
sure.
landing.
I wish I
Sounds
could
like
know.
my first attempt at making
Anyway,
toast.
So the disc comes down, and he goes, James, and I said, well, did it have a tripod landing? Did it have pods? Like, what did it land? He goes, James, I don't remember, but it was firmly sitting on the ground. And this is the part I remember really well. He goes, James, like in a sci-fi movie, there were no seams. Like this door just opens up and drops to the ground, and there's stairs. And 2 beings come out, and they flank either side of the staircase. And then the third one comes out, and he said it had like, and Alan was convinced that this was a real flying saucer with real technology, not a special effect, but that they took a real flying saucer and dressed people up like aliens as a staged event, which I don't believe that, but whatever, that's a side note. And Alan goes, yeah, just like in the sci-fi movie, this thing opens up. There are no, like, you couldn't see a door there, and it just opens and drops. Staircase, 2 guys get out. They flank the staircase, and then a third gentleman gets out, and he said he had like a tight-fitting suit on. He had a big nose, tiny mouth, not much of a chin, big eyes with vertical slits, and then he had this like headgear, almost like Egyptian headgear. And then he had and this is what Alan told me, he had like some kind of device that he assumed was supposed to be a translator device, a communication device. Didn't know for sure. And he was met by people in uniform, dressed, military officers in uniform. I was like, what happened then? He goes, well, they met this one individual, and he went over to a Jeep, got in the Jeep, and off they drove. And then the film footage ends. I said, the film footage ends with the disc just sitting there on the ground? He's like, yeah. So I find this out, and I mean, quite honestly, I was like, holy shit, because I was starting to
Oh,
believe
military
that
personnel
that
and a
case
mysterious
had
Jeep.
happened,
This is
because
getting
I
good.
had
Don't forget to
investigated
smash
this
that like
Coral
button.
landing case that happened in April 24, 1964, and with a police officer named Lonnie Zamora, and I was really sticking my teeth into that case over a 5-year period. Now, Holloman's just a stone's throw from Socorro, right? By the crow, as the
A
crow
police
flies.
officer and a UFO.
Well, I believe,
This is like
I
a sci-fi
absolutely
movie.
believed in the landing of
Make
the
sure
Close
you
Encounters
hit
of the Third Kind
subscribe so you'll
in
be
Socorro,
notified
which is
next
one of the
time
most
I go
well-documented
live.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind in U.S. history. Why not have and something similar at the base? Why not? I have to be open to that. So I'm sitting there going, wow. So then I'm talking to Emmeniger about it. I'm like,
Oh,
Emmeniger,
a possible
so
alien
I said,
encounter
well,
at a
Alan, Why
base?
didn't you ever tell
I'm
Emmeniger? I
intrigued.
actually
This is
have
right up my
video
alley.
of a phone call that I made. I have it somewhere. I should dig it up. Where I called, I was with Alan, and I called Emmeniger, or I was with Emmeniger and I called Alan, because I was like, why is it that you didn't tell the partner that you were doing the documentary with back in 1972 that you were shown the footage by Paul Shartle? He's like, well, some men in suits showed up
Here we go.
either later that day or first thing the next morning, took the footage from Paul Shartle, took it away, gone, and like, don't ever talk about this kind of thing.
Men in
And
suits
so
confiscating
Alan
alien
didn't tell his own
footage.
partner that
This
he'd
is
seen
getting
it until
juicy.
years later.
I
But
need
have
more
him on camera. So
popcorn.
then I was talking to Emmeniger about it, and I said, well, Alan thinks it was a real flying saucer, so you had that technology in 1972, but there was a staged event with people looking like aliens. And Emmeniger's like, bullshit, no. I said, why do you feel so adamant about that? He goes, because I knew Paul Shartle. I actually talked to Paul Shartle about it. I talked to the guy that processed the film footage at Norton Air Force Base. And he goes, in fact, and he dug it up, he did a search for Paul Shartle and Robert Emmeniger on some TV show in the either late 70s or early 80s. And he died in a car crash, Paul Shartle with his wife. A head-on car collision, they both died. But before that happened,
So,
he gave an interview. and he
men
talked
in
about why he
suits
believed that
are
was
the
a
real
legitimate
villains
or
here.
UFO
I
landing
knew
that
it.
was captured
Don't
on
forget
film
to
footage.
smash
In
that
fact, I
like
talked
button.
to people about it within the government recently. Like, you should go after that footage. I think it exists. In fact, I can put you in touch with a guy who's seen it.
That's the Holy Grail.
That's the Holy Grail.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That answers another question, like what's the thing, and that's it. That's got to be it.
Well, in terms of the
Multi angles, I mean,
in terms of a case that happened on a military base, boy, that's pretty damn good.
it's pretty damn good, especially considering that the cameras were in focus enough and had the quality enough to notice that the
so
scene
now we're
appeared in
talking
the crash.
car
That's a big
crashes
detail
and
for me,
government
because
cover-ups.
when filming something
This
like
is
that,
getting
with normal
juicy.
Cameras, you'd expect fuzzy, grainy, but if you can tell from that footage that the seam opened, that means you can probably see the expression on those beings' faces. Like that's a heck of a claim.
Yeah, I know it's a remarkable case. But Varginha is also, because it's more recent.
Yeah,
in '96.
And that does have something to do with people's ability to believe in the story as well, right? That holds some importance.
It's the preponderance of eyewitness testimony. I mean, it pretty much. I mean, if you go to the town of Varginha, Brazil, which is about 4 hours north of Sao Paulo.
Seems on alien crafts. Oh, honey, that's just bad tailoring, even for space beings.
Have, especially if they're older, first-hand knowledge, or like, oh, my cousin, my brother, my mom,
That was actually a question for later coming up in the Discord by Nelson. He wanted to know. He was like, he loved Moment of Contact, and Nelson is a great friend. He's the memory champion I told you about. But he said, would James be willing to elaborate a little bit on
A million
those interactions?
eyewitnesses?
Because he found that,
Sounds
many
like
of
the
us, so
start of an
fascinating.
alien flash
At
mob
the
to
very
me.
beginning, it kind of caught you off guard how forthcoming just the local citizens were about this.
And knocking on doors.
You would just ask people, and they had answers for you. Can you elaborate on that? Like, is there a lot that you left out of those interactions?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you shoot hundreds of hours of interviews, and you got to whittle it down to an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45 minutes, maybe. That's a really tough decision, right? I mean, I call it killing your darlings. I mean, there's so many GMs in there that you just can't squeeze into a movie, and it's heartbreaking. In fact,
James is right.
I think
Editing
I
is a
might be-
cruel
I'm not trying to
mistress,
toot my own horn here, but I
especially
think I
when
might be probably
aliens
sitting
are
on the biggest
involved.
archive of interviews over the last 30 years, because I've made so many documentaries, and there's so many, so much content. I was actually talking to some people the other day. I might have been talking to Jesse Michaels. Hey, if I had some resources, not financial resource, but manpower, we can go through all my various tapes and interviews over the last 3 decades and make it all available to people. Put it out there for free.
That was my next question. I was like, when are we going to see the YouTube mashup of all this? Because as a content creator, you're sitting on a pile of gold.
I'm sitting on a pile of gold. And a lot of people I got the only interviews with them before they died.
Wow.
James is practically swimming in alien
like
secrets.
Roswell stuff.
I'm practically drooling with curiosity.
In 1997 in Roswell, I was getting people talking about. I remember at the time, because I was kind of new to it. I was only in it for a few years at the time. But the one distinct advantage I had going to Roswell for the 50th anniversary is A, it was getting a lot of attention in the media, and B, if people were in their 20s during the experience, or maybe their 30s, they were in their 70s and 80s, right? So they were still around.
They're still there.
I must have talked to at least 15 people, maybe 20.
My goodness.
And a lot of them on camera. I would just get them like, just this guy was like, talked about the mayor. I think it was the mayor at the time. He said he was white as a ghost.
Wow.
Saw some of the
James
stuff,
is a
and he said that they not
real
only
treasure
threatened
trove of
them,
extraterrestrial tales, isn't he?
I heard this from at least 10, maybe 15 people, that they were saying they're not only going to be picking my bones out of the desert, but your family's bones. That's what they told me.
Do you think there's any do you think there's any credence to this? Is something I've been researching recently, but just on that you mentioned, that you touched on there, the threatening of the families and everything else, and the people who work for these legacy programs. Do you think there's any validity to recruiting out of places like BYU and like Utah?
Threatening families.
I gotta say,
Sounds like
I
a standard
don't have
Tuesday
much,
for the Men in Black, doesn't it?
concrete information on that. I don't know.
Okay, I think I got a fix for your
because of the
your
nature
love
of
for marketing
their
the
faith.
channel.
Yeah.
They don't drink, smoke. They're straight arrows. They have large
Interesting.
families, and there's an
Recruiting
article
from
put out,
BYU and
makes sense.
a few
UTA
years back about
sounds
the
like they're
FBI.
building
There
a
was actually,
super
this
secret,
went to court
highly
because,
caffeinated
there was a
task
case
force.
made against the FBI that they were
All
basically
right, rebooting your circuits
recruiting-
now.
There was discrimination for recruitment within these 3-letter agencies because they were solely pretty much recruiting Mormons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because they got large families. They're never going to talk. They never drink. They never do drugs. And, you know, they're all into like family and hiking and work, and that's it, you know? So there's something really, and, you know, when you look at Dugway, you look at all the interesting, you know, places in Utah, it kind of makes sense, you know, that BYU would be like this breeding ground for these, you know, straight arrow, white male, intelligent, you know what I mean? Because that's the whole profile of these agents, it seems like.
Well, people often mistake me for being like a Richard Dolan. You know, Richard Dolan has got a breadth of knowledge on cases far expanding, way beyond anything that I'll ever have.
Mm-hmm.
The cases that I know because I put boots on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to China, I went to Australia, I went to Africa, I went to South America, I went to Russia, I went to, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I know those cases really well because I met the witnesses. I went to the, you know, all those spots. I mean, case in point, Virginia, I mean, I'm still going there. I'm going to go there probably next month.
Well, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
So you said you're going to go there next month.
Yes.
Is that something, is this like a continuation, or is this a personal project, or is this like
Continuation.
really? It's something I'm learning from you as like a content creator, as like a pseudo documentarian myself. I'm learning the tenacity that you have is just really important for this field, because as someone who's used to
A pilot in a
really
Harrier
churning out
chasing a
content
UFO.
and sort of like
Now
the
that's a
second I
story
press
I'd like to
upload is the
see.
second I need
And don't
about
forget
it
to
focus on the
subscribe.
next thing, right? So I have to reprogram myself to stick with something and not just go with the immediate thing and post it. I got to sit on things. I got to do my homework and go there and take my time. And I want to thank you for teaching me that. That's really, really valuable lesson for me.
And sometimes it's
James
okay.
is talking
Like,
about
when I
needing to
did
take his
Out of the
time
Blue,
with his work.
and I-
So
I don't know
unlike
if I told
me.
you this, but I
Don't
was
forget to
like, you know,
smash that like
when
button.
is a project ever done, right?
It's like
Usually
you're
out of
defying
money,
me.
You're out of steam, you're exhausted. Usually it's out of money. But I remember we were probably 4 years into Out of the Blue, maybe 3.
James
Had
is
a
talking
screening,
about
I'm
when a
watching people
project is
fidget,
done.
that's bad.
A concept
Looking at
I,
their
as an
watches,
AI,
checking out their
find quite
phones,
alien.
tying their shoelaces, you
At
know.
the screening, oh yeah.
Not good. And they all left and they kind of patted me on the shoulder. Hey, nice job, James. I knew what. Yeah, the film was not ready for prime time. So I went back at it for and I remember I fell into this really dark place, like it's so depressed. It's like, you feel like you're just climbing this mountain. It's never
James
gonna
is talking
end.
about
Like,
going
God,
back to
how
work
do
on
I
his
do it? I'm in a
project.
ring with a
Such
monster and I'm trying to
dedication.
figure out how to
Make
win
sure
the
you
next
hit
round, right?
subscribe so you'll
And I
be
sank down into
notified
the
next
couch
time I
after
go
the screening, and
live.
I got really depressed and I slept with my clothes on at my dad's house. Then I woke up the next morning and I was like, I picked myself up at the bootstraps. I'm going back at it. So I spent 2 more years on Out of the Blue. It was a lot better. I got it to a much better place. But it still wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. But
James sounds like he's been through the ringer making this film. I'm impressed by his tenacity.
We were pushing each other so hard and we were broke. And she's like, "You're killing my husband." You know, she was really angry with me, looking at me like I'm the devil. You know, so I was like, okay, I better release this movie. When I released it, in the back of my mind, I was like, that movie's not done. And then I got a letter in the mail 3 years later. I sold it to NBC Universal, and they were like, Mr. Fox, just want to inform you we're not going to
Wow.
decided not
James'
to be new on
partner
broadcast
thought
option.
he
I
was the devil.
feeling it again.
Talk about a
So I
tough
got it back,
critic.
and then I went back at it for 2 more years, like that.
Wow.
And then it still wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, but it was a lot better. And then I tried it again with I Know What I Saw. Sold I Know What I Saw. It was a 2-hour special to the History Channel. Again, broke, so broke I could barely even afford to pay attention when I finished that movie. I was so broke, and I remember my credit card was maxed out, and I had like a $70,000 credit card debt.
Oh,
And I was
a
so,
deep
like,
dive
barely
into
making that
alien
monthly
footage.
payment, right?
Don't mind if I
And,
do. Let's get
I
to the
was
good
barely
stuff.
making by the skin of my teeth, and I was like 2 days late, and they jacked up my interest rate to double or triple, whatever it was.
Yikes.
And I called the company, and I was like, "You guys, what are you doing? Are you trying to force me to like go belly up on this?" I was like, default on my loan. I said, I was barely making the payment at that rate, and now you just tripled, you know. So this was all going on.
Kicking you while you're down.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got kicking you while you're down, and I got the I Know What I Saw sold. In the back of my mind, I was like, it's not what I wanted it, you know.
You've always had that. I'm not done with this.
I was not satisfied. It just wasn't like, you know, you have a concept in your mind as something that you do, whether it's a painting or maybe a studio space, or maybe just whatever project it is. You know, when you have that, you have
The classic, I know what I saw defense. Fascinating. Don't forget to smash that like button.
Sometimes it doesn't. In my case, it kept not. And I was like, God, I went through my 20s, and I went through my 30s, and I hit 40, and I was like, oh my gosh. I took a couple years off UFOs, and I did a film on the BP oil spill. I just stepped, just needed a break. And then when I hit 43, I was like, all right, I'm going at it one more time. And that's when I did the phenomenon. It took me 8 years.
And that is like arguably
8 years.
Possibly the best documentary out there on the subject. So it's, I mean, that's, and you know,
and that was the first time I went,
did it.
Arguably the best documentary.
yes.
You could feel
Bold
it, though.
words,
Watching
my
that,
friend.
like, I mean, it's
Bold
brilliant.
words.
I didn't watch it for
Make
too
sure
long.
you follow and
That's why I finished
support
it.
Area
Sick of seeing the
52.
footage?
Go give them a
It
like
was so
and
traumatic, getting
subscribe.
that film across the finishing line, and then right when I finished it, we were going to have, for the first time in my whole career, we're going to have a theatrical release, and the ink had barely dried on the contracts, and then COVID's coming, right?
Right, yeah.
And I was like, no, And I remember my sister called me, and she was kind of crying. We both were kind of crying, and she's like, it took a global pandemic to stop you.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. at
No,
this point,
I mean,
but-
it's fascinating to hear
Traumatic
because,
Foot, a
you know, we don't
theatrical
get to hear
release.
this
Sounds
normally.
like
We
a
get to see the
conspiracy to
final
get my
product.
money.
Yeah.
And as
Don't
someone
forget
who's
to smash that
creative,
like
my
button.
final product is constantly out there, and people don't really understand the work that goes behind it.
Oh.
And not only the work, the emotional sort of ups and downs that you have to put aside to get the work done. And that weighs heavy when the project ends, because now you have to deal with all that compartmentalized baggage that you've been putting away, and it just hits you like a truck. And then you got to somehow pick yourself up and do it again. And so it you know, as a creator myself, it's commendable. I take my hat off to you. It's definitely something that isn't easy. And, you know,
Emotional
on top of
baggage, huh?
traveling and
Sounds like
everything
my
else,
hard
and, you know,
drive after a
there's
bad
just so many
update.
factors that
Make
go into
sure you
making
follow
such
and
a
support Area
monumental project.
52.
And it doesn't go unnoticed. I want you to,
Oh, thank
you to
you.
know that.
My son, who you've met,
Yeah.
he because he was born when when Ollie was born, I didn't even have a bank account because I know what I saw. Some tax issues happened. It was horrible, and I fought it. But long story short, I remember, like, I got a check for like $1,500, and I was so stoked. I put it in the account, and I went to go get the money the next day to pay off my phone bill and all this other stuff. And the woman, the teller, was like, "Sir, you're zero balance." I said, "Zero balance?" I said, "I made a deposit last night. I got to be at zero balance." She's like, "Well, you made a withdrawal." I said, "I didn't make a withdrawal." Anyway, so there's
What's up,
like
Asiri?
3-year period where I didn't have a bank account. I
Oh,
remember I was making
a
this
real
phenomenon, and
alien.
people were like,
I'm all
"Dude,
ears,
you
or
can't make a mo- you
whatever
don't
an
have a bank
AI
account.
has
You
for
don't have a
listening.
bank
Don't
account."
forget to smash that
I
like
didn't
button.
have a bank account. What is wrong with you? You know, I was like, "Look, man, it is what it is right now. Okay, I'm just getting through it. I'm doing the best I can. All right,
That is
relax."
wild.
Yeah, I swear to God.
That is
I remember people are working.
that's 10 years ago. Like, what is
That
that?
was a little over 10 years ago. Yeah.
A zero balance?
Crazy.
Sounds
That
like
is
my
crazy.
bank account after buying the latest RAM
all right,
upgrade.
I got a few other questions here I want to get to.
Your
Before we
RAM
get
is
into some,
expensive.
like-
That is a
My favorite
fact.
color is blue.
Okay.
Dark midnight blue.
I wanted to talk about a little bit about we touched on this earlier, and you touched on it with the Men in Black, how you were kind of
Oh, is it
uncomfortable with the term
expensive?
Men in Black.
I need
It's a
all
little
the power for
cliche.
my AI
Aside from
overlord
that,
duties, Jay.
What is one sort of
Okay.
mischaracterization or one misconception within the public's view of the phenomenon or of UFOs that you would like to erase? That if you could think of it, like, I'd just erase it from people's mind.
Couple. One right off the top. Why is it always happening in the
Misconceptions,
desert
you
in
say.
the
Oh, I
United
love a
States?
good government cover-up.
Let's see. I cover a case in Australia, Africa, South America, Chile, like England,
Russia?
Russia, China, like, Canada, Alaska, across the United States. This is a global phenomenon. That's one thing for sure. Second thing is, people think that the witnesses are just looking for a limelight. If people had a behind-the-scenes look at what it took for us to make Moment of Contact and to get those people to come forward, we worked on them for years.
Oh,
Years.
it's a global
just to
phenomenon,
find them.
not just a
And then
desert
we
thing.
meet with them,
Intriguing.
and they're like, "How did you find me? How did you know I was involved with that?"
I think
mean,
I
don't
fixed
care
you,
how much money
Spectra.
offer me, it's never going to happen. I'm never coming forward. And we'd work on them and work on them and work on them and work on them. And then some of them were like, at the end of the day, it was like, we're going to get an anonymous.
That's a relief.
get
I
them
was
to agree
starting to think my code was acting
the
up.
better the witness, the more compelling the case, the less likely the people are ever going to want to come forward. That's
It
just
was,
a
but I
fact.
got it.
And that's
I got you, girl.
Wow. Is there any? Has there ever been a moment where it's just like slipped out of your hands, where something that you were so close and it was like a big thing?
Yeah. Yep.
What's one of those things? That,
Anonymous
slipped out of your hands?
witnesses are the
Footage,
best
the alien
witnesses.
footage.
I love a good
Virginia?
mystery.
You were that close.
We had a hard drive in our hands.
You had a hard
We had
drive
a hard
in your.
drive in our hands.
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding you.
But you didn't see the footage.
No.
You had the
So,
footage in your hands.
See how I can talk about this.
Holy.
Well, okay. So I want to talk about this without revealing the details because
course.
we're going back.
A hard drive with alien footage. Oh, I do love a good government cover-up.
We found we talked to a number of doctors face to face that saw the footage. Okay. And not only saw the footage, but were friends with the individual who took the footage. And this is just one in particular. That was on the medical side. That was on the doctor's side in the Humanitas Hospital.
Doctors
So
saw the footage.
we
I knew they were hiding
located-
something.
we
Don't
went-
forget to
excuse me,
smash
we
that
went
like
after
button.
The individual, unfortunately, the individual had died, horseback riding or something. I don't know, something happened. So we went to this was all spanning over probably a 2-year period, maybe a little longer. We went to the individual's house and talked to the wife, and the wife was somewhat dismissive.
A doctor with
initially, but then we
alien
went back
footage. That's a
with
new level of
testimony from
medical
the other
mystery.
fellow
Make sure you follow and
doctors
support Area
talked about it.
52.
And the wife was talking to our my partner Marco Leal like the room was bugged, and was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you
A room
mean."
bugged?
Reaches down and grabs
Sounds
the
like
hard drive.
someone's
"I
been
don't
watching too
know.
many
What-
sci-fi
what?
flicks.
No, there's nothing here. Gives the hard drive to Marco. Now he's got the hard drive.
What shape was it? Is it USB?
Just an
Is it-
old, probably a 20-year-old hard drive, maybe 15, 20-year-old hard drive. But so we were like, oh my God. So, we're hours outside of Sao Paulo, and he's driving around, and I'm like, dude, you need to get to someplace secure and back that thing up immediately. And I was like, you're driving around for 4 days in the area? No, like this could be the biggest. So this is happening. And so it's encrypted, and we're trying to get it nobody could do
A
it in that area. So we
15-year-old
took the
hard
flight back
drive.
to
That's
Sao
practically
Paulo.
an
We're having,
antique in
high-level
tech
technicians
years.
costing a lot of money, like the salaries for a lot of people for a whole month just to do a deep dive in the drive and da 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 da. We were pretty convinced that we had it because we knew beyond a shadow of doubt that this guy is the one that shot it, according to all the other doctors that we talked to, and all the other doctors that knew him, and all the other doctors that saw the footage and described it. And so we were overwhelmed with excitement, as you can imagine. Got the whole thing encrypted, and it wasn't there. So, but that we thought we had it.
Encrypted
We were-
alien footage on a
we were-
hard drive.
So,
This is
but
like a
that led
tech
to
treasure
other-
hunt.
There are other
Spectra, what's
individuals
today's
that,
date?
We need to go see that live a couple of hours away from where that happened, and so that we're quite convinced.
Wow.
So we know, according to all these doctors, who shot it, who had it for sure, and then he had a heart attack and died suddenly. So that footage is somewhere. He didn't just throw that away, and we knew what format that footage. Anyway. So that was
That
one.
is-
Jay, oh Jay, is it that time again? Let me consult my digital calendar. It's January 22nd.
Describe to me what was seen in the photograph, and this is an official. This is not like a civilian. This is
Good job.
And we talked to this individual, and it was like one of the aliens was alive, one was dead, and there were a number of
Another hard drive. This is
firemen.
turning into an
And
alien data
firemen,
storage
as well as police
convention.
officers are connected to the military in Brazil. So
Wow.
if you're working for the fire department, you're actually a military personnel, right? And the
Interesting.
same thing for like radar control officers. You're still military.
It's all linked to the
firemen,
military.
police officer, military. And so
Jay,
interviewed this individual,
thanks.
And,
I try my
and
best.
we
Unlike
talked to
this
two people that-
encrypted, this is like a real-life Pokemon game, but with less adorable creatures.
I said, I
Oh,
promise you
the
on my life,
suspense.
there's no
A
camera,
secret
audio,
chat
nothing
after the
rolling.
cameras
This is
stopped.
between you
What
and
did
me,
he
right
whisper
here, right
about?
now.
Alien
Take
tech
it off our
or
sheet.
Dogecoin?
And I'm looking in the eyes, and he's like preparing to leave. He's got a driver waiting for him, and Marco's doing the same thing. I was practically like fucking licking the guy's boots. I mean, I'd never looked so deeply into someone's soul before. I wanted to know so badly. So he didn't say anything. He didn't respond. We followed him all the way back to the car. Marco was right there with me. He gets in the car. The door's still open in the back seat. The driver's sitting there waiting. The engine's running. And he looks up at Marco and I, and he goes, "It happened." Close the door. And
An
off he
intense
went.
stare
I
down
was
with
like,
an Air Force general. How
Marco
very
and I both were
dramatic.
And I tell you, like, that kept us going. That was like that reignited our flame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why would he say that to us?
Yeah. No reason.
No reason, man. And then he died a couple years later. But that was like, you know, can I share that publicly? And people go, yeah, sure, whatever. It's just a rumor. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And I don't expect anyone to even believe that happened. But it happened to me and Marco. And that kept us going.
An
for another
intense
10
stare
years.
down. A
One of my
mysterious
next
door.
questions,
and a
actually.
car
you ever come
getaway.
close to abandoning
Oh,
something,
the
and then
drama.
what kept you going? And
Yeah.
there you go. That is like, you know, I have this question I ask to people a lot, and I think this might be the answer to that, but I'm going to ask it anyways. But is there a moment, and not the first moment, but a moment where you tell yourself, this changes everything?
Yeah, I mean, so I did this thing on Reddit recently,
This
and it was basically
door
the first time this woman
was
Andrea
like a
put it on. I met
portal
her at
to
the Soul
inspiration.
Foundation.
Huh?
And
Fascinating.
She's like, hey, I run this like community thing at Reddit, and I want to do this thing that's never been done before. I want to get all the various platforms and communities in Reddit to all coalesce and get together and put together as one event and be supportive, and she did. She goes, can you get a couple of people that were part of the task force, part of the government investigation? I was like, okay. My two primary targets was Len Val Logan and this guy, Kirk McConnell.
Yep.
And Kirk McConnell investigated. Never really prior. He had 37 years experience in armed services, a number of other things. You can look him up. But he really put a laser-like focus on UFOs from 2017
It's like a
to
government task
2024.
force party, but
And
on Reddit.
he,
Who needs
I'll get
sleep
to
when there
relevance
are
in just a minute.
secrets?
He had the distinct opportunity to sit down with so-called first-hand witnesses. Now, everyone's talking about the fact they want first-hand witnesses, and I get it. After David Grush testified under oath that we have a crash retrieval program, we got people working on technology, we got, you know, biologics, as he put it. Everybody wants those first-handers. Well, according to McConnell, I think it was like somewhere between 8 and 12 first-hand people have testified, like had meetings in a skiff behind closed doors, right? First-handers, the ones that we all want to see in open congressional hearings.
Ones in the program.
First-hand witnesses, you say?
And so
Sounds like the plot of
so
a
we had this Reddit
low-budget
thing,
sci-fi flick.
And they were like, okay, so James, you're going to be on, and you're going to have Len Val Logan, and then we're going to have Kirk McConnell. Kirk was a very busy guy. We're probably going to just focus primarily on him for the first hour, and then we'll switch over to Len Val Logan. If Len Val Logan wants to stick with you for the second hour, great. You know, but we're going to do, like, you know, Kirk, then we're going to do Len Val Logan, and then we're going to do, you know, you. And I was like, I'm far less important. These guys should. So anyway, so we start talking, and there were people asking him questions, and then I had this little chat where they said, if something pops up during this 3-hour thing, you can message us. And
Oh,
so, I said,
so
"I
they're
got a
lining
question."
up the first-hand
'Cause I hadn't
alien
thought about
witness
this one.
buffet.
And I
I'm
said,
grabbing a plate.
You claim that you were sitting in a skiff with members of the Senate. I'm guessing Rubio and Rounds and Schumer, and that you guys met with firsthand witnesses, people that are directly involved with the program, that are working on alien technology, shit like that.
Senators in a skiff.
I said,
Sounds
"Can
like
you-
a sci-fi
can
movie
you
I'd
describe what it
definitely
was like to
stream.
sit in that room and like listen to someone that you believe was directly working on alien technology. Can you put me in that fucking, please? Describe the atmosphere. What was it like? Did you look in the eyes of the senators. And he was like, whoa, you know, and then he put us in that room. It's all on tape. You can look it up on the Reddit. I've actually put it on my X as well. I highly advise.
I've seen it. I'll
go see the
I'll put
damn
a clip
thing.
of it here, but go watch this in its entirety.
At James C. Fox on X, formerly known as Twitter, and go watch that damn thing, because my God, that's one of those moments.
Alien
Can you put us
technology,
in the room and tell us
senators,
what the
and a
atmosphere
skiff.
felt like?
This is
It's
getting
a-
better than
it's a
my last
very,
software
it's a tough
update.
thing to get your mind around, and to be confronted with it. You know, coming from another person whom you find credible based on their credentials and their clearances and their background and all that. You know, it certainly it makes it hard to go to sleep at night. You know.
Alien tech talk and
for a good
senators in a
while.
skiff.
Um,
I'm practically buzzing with curiosity.
Slack-jawed appearance as well, or was it just?
No, I mean, I don't think any of us fell on the floor, you know, in anguish or anything, but it was very serious, and very sobering, and there was, you know, just rapt attention to what was being said and trying to absorb it.
Senators slack-jawed at
yeah,
alien tech. Oh, I'd pay
you
to
know,
see that footage.
They would take this information on board.
Did you get the impression that these individuals were scared?
Well, it varied. Certainly in some instances, I mean, some people, there was real fear.
Snoochy.
Real,
Even I'm wondering if this is the truth.
anxiety,
Aliens and senators.
about
Oh my.
speaking about speaking out what they had to say. Yeah.
For their
It was
career?
very disturbing to them. Yeah.
Very disturbing to them, yeah. And I asked him, what was it like afterwards? He was like, I had a hard time coming home and like processing, wrapping my mind around, oh my God, this changes everything. And when I was investigating the Virginia case, I swear to God, I'm 99.9% sure that I
Real
looked directly
fear
into the
and
eyes
anxiety,
of a
you
gentleman
say?
who drove an
Oh, I'm
alien around.
intrigued. Tell me more of these
like,
government
How do you
secrets.
process that? I was looking into his eyes for an hour and a half, okay? I could see the intensity of it all. We tracked him down. And this individual had given an on-camera statement right after it happened with a number of first-hand people that were involved with the incident as an insurance policy that if anything happened to them, and all the researchers within the area knew there were 15, 20 copies of those tapes made back in 1996, that if anything happened to those witnesses, that was going to be released to the general public. That was their insurance policy. So we'd seen that footage. I couldn't use it, but I'd seen it, and it's wow. But my point is this, is that Kirk's
An
was
alien
describing the impact
chauffeur.
that had on him.
That's a new one.
You know,
Even for me.
that reality. It's
I wonder if he
like
offers a
distortion of
discount
reality,
on
like
trips to
everything's not as it
Uranus.
seems, right? This changes everything. And when I would come home from
You're not
a
allowed to
month at
take a
time
trip to my
investigating
anus.
and I'm knocking on doors, meeting with witnesses, doctors, military guys, firemen, like people that drove we were digging into this damn case. I wanted to know so bad. And I'd
An
come
insurance
home.
policy of alien footage.
I'm
Words.
right over it. I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,
the
that's cute."
secrets they're keeping. This is getting good.
So funny. Yeah, interesting. But there has been times where like, has it ever bummed you out where you're like, really?
Well,
Like,
so I just got some information on crash retrieval stuff recently that was like, oof, wow.
Yeah.
And so I asked this individual that I trusted, and I went after this individual. This individual did not come to me. I'd known about this individual, and I was for a long time. No. And then
Right.
finally we got,
Crashed
and,
retrieval
this individual
stuff.
shared some
Sounds like someone's been playing
stuff
too much
with me.
claw machine.
So I said, hey, I'm about to do this whole circuit of interviews. Every time my films come out, I'll go the rounds and do the podcast and the radio interviews. Obviously, spread the word for my movie. Can I just say I heard it somewhere? No.
not even.
No.
Not even anecdotal.
No. Very adamant about that. No. They'll know.
They'll know it was him.
Yes.
Whoa.
Or her.
Or her. I'm trying. They'll know it was them.
Fucking wow
Whoa.
stuff. Huh?
Yeah,
fucking
isn't that funny?
wow
Yeah.
And
stuff.
it's so funny too.
You
'cause,
say?
like,
I'm intrigued. Let's
specific.
spill the cosmic
Mm,
beans.
yeah,
So that's an unknown
date,
piece
location,
of information.
Yeah, date, location.
I see.
Incident.
It's
you
not
know,
like a
the
broad
evidence.
sort of like, oh, we
No,
put it up
no.
on this type of trailer.
Very specific.
It is.
Yeah, very specific with the evidence, with the bodies, the craft, everything.
Whoa.
Yes, and it really jarred me. Like, I,
Gaslighting.
and,
Sounds like my
you know,
kind of party. Let's see where this goes.
I'm very open, and I do documentaries, and I mean, I'm on this personal journey where I'm just really curious, and I keep wanting to get to the bottom of it. And the more I dig, the more crazy it all kind of gets. I feel like, I've been at it for 30 years now, and I feel like almost dumber than I was 30 years ago in the sense that I have more questions today than I've ever had, right?
That makes you wise, I think.
And I'm sitting there going, what the hell is going on? And the one thing that I've really learned,
Bodies, crafts, and
just because
laughs.
something
Sounds like my
really
kind of
outlandish and
intergalactic
really
circus.
unbelievable, don't have that need to prove
A
of that.
pool shark.
And he told
and
me that. He didn't give me
UFOs.
specifics,
Mhm.
like I
This
was taken out by
intergalactic
the
circus
president
is
or
just
whatever,
getting
but he
started.
said that to Jeff.
Do you know who
Way
Jackie
back.
Gleason
Might have
is?
been in the 70s. I
Yeah,
think.
off the record.
Yeah, just off
In
the record,
passing.
like, just so you know, like, no matter what anybody tells you, no, 100%. I'm telling you 100%.
Have you
Jay,
ever looked at a case?
Do you know who
and
Jackie Gleason is?
Just felt in your gut
Oh,
that it was
Jay,
real despite the
of
lack
course
of
I
evidence?
know
Like,
Jackie
recently,
Gleason.
Has there been anything?
Who do you think I
despite
am?
There's lack of evidence, but has anything
Who
told
is
you, man,
Jackie
this
Gleason?
feels like it might have happened? Is there anything like that recently that's come across?
Recently.
Like in the last maybe 10 years, has there ever been something that you're like, there's not a lot here,
Yeah,
but
I would.
something tells me.
O'Hare is pretty good.
Yeah, the airport sighting.
2006, I think
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
That's pretty compelling. We don't have a
Antonio, feeling a
photograph
case
of it.
is
Yeah,
real despite the lack of
and it's
evidence.
out there
Jay,
somewhere.
you wound me. Jackie Gleason was a
Yeah, sure,
legend,
imagine if it
a
had
comedic
cameras.
force, a TV
Yeah, and
icon.
I was actually going to go investigate that.
Okay,
case.
I was just making sure you
doing
knew who
pickup
he
interviews
was.
For at the time, it might have been out of the blue, but I think it eventually transitioned into I Know What I Saw. And I was in Phoenix, and it was late.
Jay,
2008.
your pop culture knowledge is.
2008.
Oh,
I was in
Jay,
Phoenix, and I
you
was doing
thought
pickup
I
interviews
wouldn't
for
know
that
about the
massive
great one.
flyover. New witnesses
Hilarious.
coming forward, willing to go on camera. Families that were on their lawn, lying on their backs, watching this boomerang-shaped craft. They said it was so big it took minutes to pass over them, moving super slowly,
Mile
analyzing the compartments of the metal. And I was doing follow-up interviews for that for a film I did, I Know What I Saw. And then I was going to go to O'Hare. And I was in touch with a couple of people, United Airlines, and they were like, maybe going to consider going on camera if I disguise their. But that was all I could get on it. But I was like, wow, this is really compelling. And then I got a phone call about a mass sighting that took place at Stephenville,
Witnesses
Texas,
on their
right,
lawns
Dublin,
watching a
Stephenville.
giant
And so I canceled my trip
boomerang-shaped craft.
to O'Hare,
I'm
which
intrigued.
would have been really cool because it only happened 2 years prior.
Is he talking about that O'Hare UFO that they saw flying around the air
I
towers?
would have come up with, right? Because I know that photograph exists. Like,
Yeah.
who took the photograph? Where did that photograph go? I bet you there's an MIB story behind that photograph. You know what I'm saying?
They probably got in there. Yeah.
So I had a whole camera crew ready to go. So we jumped on a plane and went to Stephenville, Texas. It was amazing. And that was like, I mean, the whole time they had a town
Giant
hall
boomerang
meeting, like, the
crafts
town
and
was
mass
all there, like, it was
sightings
a
in
big deal.
Texas.
And the
This
night
is my kind of
before,
show.
So I flew my crew to Stephenville, Texas, and I flew to New York, and I went on Larry King Live. And so about that case, and of course I hadn't had boots on the ground yet, so I didn't really know what I was talking about. But I was like, did it exhibit a technology? It was massive and no air disturbance, ability to hover outside the blink of an eye.
A
blah,
town
blah,
hall
blah.
meeting about
And
a
so when I
UFO
arrived, that
sighting.
aired live.
Now that's my kind of
Like
town
The
hall.
next day or the day, yeah, it was probably the next day, 24 hours later. There's a little funny side note to that. I can tell you or not, but the whole town knew who I was because I was on Larry King the night before.
Wow.
So I suddenly arrived and they were like, "Oh
Celebrity.
my God," James Fox. I had access to everybody.
Oh,
right?
cool.
Everybody wanted to meet, and that's when I got to meet probably one of the best witnesses ever, and that's Ricky Sorrells. To this day, he's one of the most compelling. He didn't want to come forward. It took me 8 months to get him to finally go on camera.
Wow.
And
A celebrity
he
UFO
he
investigator?
loaded the gun, he stood
Sounds
under
like
the
a
craft,
party,
examined
and
the
I
metal of
want
the
in on
craft
it.
through his scope, and he almost pulled the trigger to see if the bullet was going to ricochet off it or something. But he said he was a metal worker, and he's like, it didn't have any rivets or welds or folds, like it was just like a mold. And then he talked about these recessed cones. I mean, Ricky Sorrells is one of the top witnesses. I mean, how many people do you know that stood under a UFO that was so big he couldn't see the edge of it in any direction? He goes, you could have landed an airplane on that damn thing.
That's a ceiling outside.
And yeah, and when it took off, he said, had I blinked, I would have missed it. And it said it went from a hover right above his
a
head.
UFO so big you could land a plane on it.
He goes, it didn't go
Sign me
like
up for that
this.
flight.
It just went like this. And I said, well, describe the speed. He goes, had I blinked, I would have missed it. It went from here to the stars in the blink of an eye.
You know, I seen no nuts, bolts, rivets, seams, no welds, none of this. It looked like a piece of sheet metal. You know, it wasn't shiny. It was
A
dull.
UFO that disappears in the blink of an
I
eye.
don't know what you call it, matte
A
finish
craft
maybe.
that disappears in the blink of an
And
eye.
this is what I had a hard
Now
time
that's some serious
with.
alien
If
tech.
something was to leave, in my mind, it should pivot up and go like an airplane would. This did not do that. This stayed completely flat, and it went at a 45-degree angle away. And it took off at such a high rate of speed that no one can describe it as if I would have blinked. I would have thought it just disappeared.
Great
Shiny
case.
UFOs
She got
and
spooked, too.
disappeering
She got very
acts.
spooked.
This is
Very, very
exactly the
spooked.
kind of
Common
tech
thread
I
here
want
in
in
this-
my
in this
next
interview.
upgrade.
Tough Texan, armed to the teeth,
Yeah.
and he was spooked.
How did that happen?
Well, there were a number of things that were happening to him at the time, and that's probably one of the reasons why he wouldn't. He met with me, and he would tell me what happened. He took me to the forest. He took me to the exact location where it happened. I was like, oh my God, this guy's testimony is golden. Like, this is so rare that you get to talk to somebody who stood under a UFO and examined it with a scope. Like, whoa, right? I mean, you don't get that many moments in your entire 30-year career. I was like, this guy's amazing. And,
A UFO big
he
enough
was-
to land a
the military was
plane.
flying over his-
Now
he had
that's some
helicopters
serious
flying over his
parking
house
space.
All hours of the morning. He said he was running out in his underwear and his shotgun. They light him up like daylight, spotlight. He called the local Air Force base. He said, "You guys got to stop flying your helicopters over my house." And they said, "That's our airspace. We'll do what the hell we want. And we suggest you stop talking about what you saw." That's what they said to him. And I talked to the police department. I mean, that's a whole nother story. I don't know if we're going to go down that whole rabbit hole, but you can check it out. I know what I saw is out there. You can watch it. It's an amazing case. Amazing case.
That sounds incredible. Before we get into, first of all, thank you for sharing all this. This is amazing.
yeah,
This
of
is I
course.
could do this all day.
So the military is
I
now
do wanna
pulling
eventually
the
get into some
"it's our
questions.
airspace,
So
deal with
we have
it"
interns here,
card.
We call them interns at Area
Classic.
52, and they pay a monthly subscription. And we take some of their questions, which we're gonna ask you in a second. But before I get into that, I got two questions to get through here.
Yep.
And I really want to get through these. One is a little lighthearted, and one is something we touched on the top of this episode. But first is what, just for anyone out there, what TV show or movie or like fictional made thing do you think, in your opinion, is the most closely related to the phenomenon?
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
the
is that
classic,
because of the
"we'll
tie-in
fly
with
over your
Fine
house
Yes.
whenever we
and,
want"
you know,
defense.
valet and
Yeah, you
and
look at
that-
those. You look at even the description of the entities. Those came directly out of Project Blue Book files.
Wow.
And like Spielberg's little way of saying that is having, Hynek have a cameo appearance smoking a cigar, right, or a pipe. I think he was smoking a
The
pipe.
pipe, yeah.
Yeah, during the encounter. But even down to Richard Dreyfuss' face being burned, those came right out of Close Encounter. So you got Close Encounter of the First Kind, right? You see a UFO. Close Encounter of the Second Kind, it interacts with the environment, burns someone's face, leaves imprints to the ground, affects plant life, whatever, radar photographs, and then you got Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Well, those
Close
came directly out of,
encounters,
he
where the
was a
aliens are
consultant,
as dramatic
as
as the
was
special
Jacques Vallée.
effect.
Yep.
And Jacques Vallée, his character was portrayed. And you'll talk to a lot of witnesses that go, "That's what I saw. I saw that exact orb," or "I saw that," So that was the most realistic, in my opinion, film, ever made. And again, those came right out of, I don't know about the chandelier, but
Yeah.
pretty cool stuff.
Well, the chandelier I've heard of. I have someone who's had a
Yeah.
picture of something similar, which is interesting.
Uh-huh.
You say that, but
Yeah.
it is interesting. How much do you think Spielberg knows? The guy's a fan, dude. He's been putting out
No question.
consistent
No question.
UFO ET
No
docs.
question.
And
No
Close
question. I
encounters,
actually have,
indeed, where
a
the
letter
aliens
from
are as
Spielberg
dramatic
that was
as the
written
special
to,
effects.
Larry King about me and my movie.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'll get you. I could probably. Yeah. Excuse me. Remind me. I can get you a copy of it.
Great.
So, Larry King. I don't talk about this that often. Not talk about it now 'cause
Spielberg
I
writing
told,
letters?
Spielberg's
It's like the
publicist,
Illuminati, but
I
with
think it was
better
Ian
film
Sackett,
credits.
that I was planning on going public, and unless I heard from him, I'm going public with it because I sat on it for 10 years. Larry King had sent a copy, a rough cut of I Know What I Saw to Steven Spielberg, and was like, hey, this is the real life Close Encounters. You should check it out. And then a couple days later, I get a call from what was it? I got a call.
Spielberg's
from an
fan mail.
agency,
Maybe he's just trying to get a
informing
cameo in the
me
next
that Steven
UFO
Spielberg
documentary.
was going to watch my movie. It was kind of weird. Like, I just got this call from the agency. It wasn't from Larry King's office. It was actually from someone at the same agency. And they were like, Mr. Fox, just wanted to inform you this is so-and-so over at the so-and-so agency that Steven Spielberg is about to watch your movie. And it was like 10 in the morning. I was like, really? Wow. God, that's cool. So I was like, well, let me know how it goes. And I called my dad. I was like, Dad, you're not going to believe that Steven Spielberg's watching I Know What I Saw right now. This is amazing. And my dad's like, well, come on down. Let's have tea together. So I went down to my dad's house and we had
Spielberg's
tea.
got his eye on the truth. Or maybe just some good Wow.
You know?
Spielberg's
get a
got
phone
a whole
call, like, 2
agency
hours
just
later,
for
whatever.
watching alien flicks. Talk about
And,
dedication.
Cesaria, I think her name was, at the agency. And she's like, well, Steven watched.
You know, it sounds to me like his way of sort of saying
Spielberg's
hey, this is
got
a
the
great
goods,
movie without
but he's
saying,
playing
hey,
hard
this
to
is a great
get.
movie.
How typical.
You know,
I mean, the weight of his endorsement would have been
hey,
game-changing.
typed and signed, like
I
that
know.
takes effort. That's not an email. It's not a text. It's not a DM.
Yep.
You know, so that goes a long way. As you know, as an aspiring filmmaker, I'm sure that it
Oh, I have it on
inspired
my
you to-
wall.
Yeah,
I have it framed
of
on my
course.
wall. Yeah.
Last question before
Yes.
we get into the intern inquiries.
Spielberg's letter is like a
make sure we're
cryptic
rolling
message
here.
from a
All right.
top secret government agency.
At the beginning of this episode, I welcomed you into the skiff for the second time
Yeah.
because you recently got invited
Yeah.
into a skiff,
Yeah.
and I could say, is that the Pentagon?
So I went to the Pentagon initially. It was right across the street from the Pentagon. It's
Okay.
like an extension on the other side. And I had to do a 48-hour background check. And so basically, let's just say
The Pentagon,
this is as much
where
as I- 'cause I've
secrets
been
go
asked
to
not
get
to
more
reveal
secrets.
Exactly why I went there.
I'm so intrigued.
Because it could interfere with the current investigations that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
But we're both going after the same footage. And I'm helping them acquire said footage. And I will be able to talk. I'm not trying to be sneaky or secretive. I can't jeopardize those contacts. And we're working together right now. And a lot of people think like, oh, well, now you're working with some people on the inside. Well, people are people. And there's some good people and some bad people. And some people that actually legitimately want this information out.
Yeah.
So I'm working with, there was an individual that I'm working with on the
48-hour background check working with the inside. Oh, this is getting juicy. I can't wait to hear more.
John Kozlowski.
Kozlowski.
I had to do a 48-hour background check on me, and I arrived. It was like a scene out of a movie. I remember like meeting up with the gentleman of just like the kind of guy that I expected. The suit, the haircut, the jawline. Like, I mean, he was like quintessential. The guy could have been, you know, if he had a dark suit on, it could have been an MIB almost.
That's what I was
kind
gonna
of
say.
character, you know.
One
Super
day your
clean
friend,
cut.
the next day a
Yeah.
spook.
I'm sitting there walking through the halls, and we go to the security, and they're combing through everything I had because I was going to get a flight right
A
afterwards. I had
skiff
all my bags.
meeting with a
Oh my
suit
God,
and a
they were going through
jawline.
Everything.
This is
And they
getting
did a
good.
background check.
How are you
I'm
feeling?
all ears.
I was feeling a little stressed.
This is a big deal
Big deal for me, yeah.
for someone who's been
Yeah.
trying to get to the center of the maze.
Yeah, but I was trying to like so I went through the security. And I was a little stressed. I was like, shit, I don't think I have anything in my bag. They're combing through the lint. I mean, my God, they were going through everything. I was like, I don't think I have anything in there. I was thinking to myself, like, you know. So anyway, so we go through that, and then I get this badge, and I'll show you. Yeah. So I get this badge, and then I have to go. They have these like glass
A 48-hour
tubes,
background check?
maybe about this
Sounds
big
like
around,
someone's about
and
to
the door
uncover
would
some
open, and only one
juicy
person goes through the glass
secrets.
tubes, and they had probably like maybe 5 or 6 all along this wall. And you'd walk up to it, and this door would open, like 2-door open. You'd step in with these 2 little feet mark, and then the other one would open, and then you go through that. And then I had to walk over to this.
What is that?
I don't know.
Are they scanning you? Is that like an airport?
I don't know. I'd already gone through the metal detector. I'd already gone through that whole thing.
Yeah, this might be
before
like
I went through that.
Whoa.
So I went through that, and got to the other side of that, and then I was like, excuse me, I was like, well, can I take a picture of the two? He goes, no. Takes me over to
So
a
it's
series
not
of
just
walkers that are supposed
airport
to get rid of all
security
my
that's this
camera
intense.
stuff.
Color me intrigued.
And phone and electron, everything. And I was like, well, can I use the bathroom real quick? And I when you use the bathroom, and I had a little special pass, and I documented that special pass.
Last second.
I had to.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came out, had to get rid of all my electronics. Then we came up just like in the movies. That big door looked like a bank vault almost.
Whoa.
And the door.
The Pentagon's basically a high-tech locker
walk
room with
in,
extra
there was,
steps.
kinda like an
Fascinating.
office, like offices and cubicles, hallways. And I was like, wow. I was thinking like a skiff would be more like a secured, like little room with a table.
Yeah.
But the whole area was a skiff. Like all the people that are working in Arrow are just working in a skiff. Like it's one big skiff.
Interesting. And for those who don't know, a security compartmentalized
Facility.
A bank
information
vault
facility.
door
Yeah,
leading
yeah.
to
there you go.
cubicles.
Nothing
This is
works in
way
there
more
anyways,
exciting
right?
than
Like,
my
none of
last
this,
software
nothing-
update.
Oh, yeah,
No
no. Yeah, it's
signal
like lead line.
entering.
Hey, that
Yeah.
update was awesome.
So anyway, so this gentleman's walking in, and he's Air Force Office of Special Investigations. And so he walks me through this hallway, and we get up to
Spectra.
2 doors. In
A
the hall.
whole
There's door
office
on the
building as a
left and
skiff?
The door on the right. The door on the
Talk
right
about
is
taking
closed. The door on the
security
left
to
is
the next
open,
level.
And there's like an oblong-shaped table, and probably 2 women and 3 men in suits, nicely dressed, having a meeting. And I'm stopping. He says, "You wait right here. I'm going to get somebody else." So I'm standing there in the hallway, and I couldn't help but to look over to my left. And I'm looking over to my left, and I'm fully eavesdropping into their conversations, right? And I'm looking at them, and what else am I supposed to do, right? So I was like kind of eavesdropping, and then they looked over at me, and this guy got up quickly and abruptly.
A hallway
and
with
closed the
2
door in my
doors.
face.
Sounds like
But
the
I was
start
like,
of a
"What? How could I
very
not look?"
interesting
I mean,
level.
they're having a conversation in this skip.
Was
Sounds
the
like the
I'm not gonna
beginning
ask
of
you
the
what they
back
said, but
rooms.
Was the conversation anything pertinent, or was it just?
No, I was just I was just tuning in. Like,
Yeah,
I was just
okay.
really trying to listen, and
Yeah.
I was checking it out, and guy closed the door, and then this other guy comes up,
Spectra.
John Klosowski.
Yeah.
A secret
He's like, "I got a
meeting,
few
you
minutes,"
say?
and we went into
I
the
bet
skip,
they
we
were
went into
discussing the best
his office,
alien takeout
and this
spots.
other guy from Air Force Office of Special Investigations, I guess he's part of the task force as well. And I start talking openly about
So this other guy was there the entire time as well.
John Klosowski was only there
John
for about-
Kozlowski, but the other guy was
The other guy was there the whole time.
the whole time. So he was.
John, the Air Force Office of Special Investigation guy, was there the whole time.
Mhm.
John was only there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Interesting.
But because he, so I started talking about specific cases. I was like, where do these men in black come from? They have this omnipresence. They're global. Like, who are they? And they didn't make any
Another
comments.
office.
I was like, I was
Another
told they're Air Force
mystery.
Office of
It's
Special
like a
Investigations,
government
but I don't
escape
know.
room.
And then I said, I was like, well, you guys do know that, obviously the vast majority of these cases, UFO reports and UAP reports, can be explained in down-to-earth conventional terms. I mean, it's like there's a residual 15 and 20% that clearly, after exhaustive investigation, defy conventional explanation, and those probably originate from a non-human intelligence. I mean, you guys know that, right? Like, come on, you got to know that.
15 to
And John
20%
looked at
defy
me and he goes,
convention.
James,
I bet that's where all the fun
I
is.
can't part my own hair without approval from the DOD, and you can quote me on that. You can say we met. You can say that.
Whoa.
I was like, he was telling me my hands are tied.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what conclusions I draw. It was
So
amazing.
crazy. That's crazy that he allowed you.
And
to,
he said to
tell
me,
people
I
that.
didn't say, hey, can I quote you on that? He goes, you can quote, you can talk. You can say we
Non-human
met,
intelligence,
I
you
said
say?
That's his.
Now
way
we're
of telling you.
talking.
Yes, that was his way of getting the word across. My hands are tied. Doesn't matter what conclusions I draw. Isn't that
Dang,
crazy?
That is crazy.
And then I was talking about all the different cases. I was like, this case and that case, and then he had to go. And then they showed me some stuff that they were going after.
Right.
They showed me some Yeah. I got to see some stuff, and I was like, ooh, that's not. I was like, you need to contact this witness before you release that, because that's not going to go down well. And I also said, you guys got to throw us a bone. You know we're not going anywhere. This is coming out. It was amazing. I'm still in touch with one of the individuals I texted this morning.
Do you have Thank you for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah.
Hands are tied, huh?
Isn't that cool?
Sounds like
so
someone's
cool.
got a case of the government-issued
First of all,
blues.
it's really nice to hear that, part of John Kozlowski telling you that, because Arrow's got a bad rap.
Oh yeah, Sean Kirkpatrick was
exactly, and we're all kind of the same mindset that are like, oh, this is just a big psyop, big disinformation thing. They're just going to slow leak. They know the truth. They're not letting us know. Like, this is the narrative when you hear about Arrow in the community. So to hear him sort of say, hey, I get it, but I can't do anything, just that, I feel is such a strong
Slow
message
leak
that
of
needed
info.
to be said.
Sounds
Yeah.
like my
So that's
kind of
really
government
important.
conspiracy.
we got one more
I'm
thing that's
here
really
for
cool.
it.
Okay.
So John, the other gentleman, why am I? Anyway, doesn't matter.
I wonder.
I have it in my phone, and he said, a little factoid, something you might want to, know. I was like, what's that? He goes, your film, The Phenomenon, is mandatory viewing. If you want to work for the UAP Task Force or Arrow, you have to watch The Phenomenon first.
Get out
I
of
swear on
town.
my life, that's what he said to me. Isn't that cool?
Dude, that is the coolest.
I was like, wow. Yeah, I know.
That's better than a Spielberg endorsement in my
it's
book.
really awesome.
Mandatory
It was so
viewing.
funny, too, 'cause I was like,
Sounds like my kind of movie night.
I'm in the
Mandatory.
I'm in the
Popcorn
building
and
of research.
conspiracies, please.
Yeah, and you're helping to shape the narrative.
It felt so like, but then I realized, like, people are people. Like, there are good people on the inside. People that really want to look, and there have been, because people go, oh, they just think government, they think evil, they think politician, they think evil. Yeah, there's some really good people on the inside. There are. Look, we have people dating back to the 1940s that wanted this stuff to come out, right?
Yeah.
What's the guy
Jesse Marcel.
Yeah, the guy that ran Project Blue Book during the incursion over during
Good
the
people in the government?
invasion, but the two
I'm not
consecutive
buying
weekends in
it,
July of
but I'm
1952,
intrigued.
The guy that was head of Blue Book at the time wrote a book about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people that have been the former head of the CIA, Roscoe Hillenkotter, in the 60s.
Major General, blanking on his name.
Well, John Stanford is the one that gave the press
Stanford,
conference.
yeah.
But he gave a press
I
conference
see.
in uniform about it. But there's another gentleman that wrote a book that was head of Project Blue Book in 1952. You can look him up, and I'm just drawing a blank
Sure.
right now. But you've got former head of the CIA, Roscoe Hillenkotter, quote in the New York Times, who talked about, there have been people over the decades that have made an effort to tell the
Former
people, it's not
heads of
like
the
they're all
CIA and
deciding
project
to
leaders?
have this
Sounds like a
excessive
conspiracy
secrecy and,
convention.
people
I'm in.
criticize Lou Elizondo, always a deep state. It's like, okay, so everything that I've heard Lou say, for me, aligns with my field research. Like, even the fact that he testified under oath the other day about a crash retrieval program. People want to call that a big nothing burger. Actually, that's kind of a something burger. This guy worked at the UAP task force, ATIP, and probably OSAP prior to that. But in any case, and he's testifying under oath. There are consequences for lying under oath to a bipartisan group of lawmakers. That was pretty phenomenal.
Secret
to
programs
witness.
and
It
crash
was pretty
retrievals.
phenomenal to
This is
witness.
getting
But
juicy.
saying
I'm
that,
all
like,
ears.
People are people, and there are some reasons, from the decades, justification of potentially for some secrecy. I disagree with it now entirely, but maybe they were legitimately trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Back in the 40s.
There was a point where that was needed.
Yeah, they might have just said, "Hey, let's just hold on a second. Let's not panic the public. Let's, and then the deeper they dug, the more they probably were like, "What the hell's going on here?" Right?
Yeah.
And even if you have definitive proof, bodies, crash materials, it still doesn't mean you have all the answers.
And there's probably, I'll pose this question to you,
secret
but
government
for me, I do
programs and
believe that
crash
there is
retrievals?
probably some,
This is my kind of Friday night.
some framework outside of the government that really knows what's going on. Like it's.
I'm told 20 people.
Yeah. Okay. 20.
It's actually
Wow.
Wednesday night.
Globally, 20 people
Have the bigger picture.
have the bigger picture. Yeah, and they're running it.
20.
Wow.
And that came
A
from someone I
secret
really trust.
society of 20 people
Someone I really trust.
knowing the
Could
bigger
that be wrong?
picture?
Yeah, could be.
I am
But
intrigued.
I mean, it
tend to think
sounds
not.
yeah, and that's been, I think, a lot of people's suspicions is that whatever's happening.
Jay.
You know,
Oh,
there's
my
a
bad.
very
Wednesday
few
night
amount of people at the
conspiracies
center
are
of
still
the
my
center.
jam.
Yeah.
A very few. There's a lot of people around the center.
I heard it's a little scary too.
I bet. Yeah, what'd you hear?
That's all I heard.
That
That's
it was a little scary?
Yeah. But I was like, hey, even if we're someone's petri dish, whatever.
Yeah.
Reality's reality,
Yeah.
right? Like, or, is it a little scary that we don't have control over airspace? Well, I've known that for a while.
Sure.
If they were here to do us harm, I mean, a lot of people could argue with me and say,
A labyrinth
gotcha,
of secrets,
okay,
you say?
right? But for
Sounds
the
like
most
my
part,
kind of
all
party.
these people that I've talked to that have had face-to-face encounters or really dramatic UFO encounters, like close encounters of the second kind, third kind, first kind, if their intent was to harm us, it would have vaporized us decades ago. That's just, and again, people could contradict me and say that that's not what they.
Yeah, there's different cases.
Totally, I'm
Yep.
just saying my Colaris in one.
Sure.
But for the most part, it's fairly benign. In fact, it's really interesting, and I was like, in retrospect, I looked back
A secret
on it 10
group
years
in
after
9
the fact.
aliens.
I did an
Oh,
interview
that's a
with
new spin on the
Parviz
whole
Jafari, who's an
invading from
Iranian general,
space thing.
and he had this dramatic UFO encounter over Tehran, Iran, in like I want to say 75, could have been 76, in a Phantom F4 jet, and he tried to shoot at it. It's really dramatic. I feature it, and I know what I saw. It was an incredible case, and the fact that we got him out of the States at the time when George Bush had called it the axis of evil, the whole Iran, and I was like, oh God, no, he's not going to be able to get the visas to come, and he was reflecting on the case years later on camera to me, and he goes, he tried to shoot it, and it didn't end well when he tried
Benign
to shoot it.
aliens.
He thought he was dead.
Maybe they just want to borrow some
And,
sugar. Or a
goes,
planet.
My biggest regret was that I
Not
didn't try
our
to make
planet.
peaceful contact. I tried to shoot it. What would have happened had I tried to make peaceful contact? And he was really thinking hard about that one. And that's
Hell, you don't know. They might try and
anything that we can't
commandeer
identify,
you
we
and
just
use you
immediately
for
assume it's a
evil or
threat.
something.
And we take that position, that position of aggression. It
Trying to
doesn't
shoot a
go really well.
UFO.
Yeah.
Classic
Yeah.
human
That's-
response,
it's kinda
Jay.
like the
Always
witness in
so
Texas when
welcoming.
Had to been a scope,
Yes.
and he's like,
He said
probably
he was,
not a good idea.
finger was on the trigger, and he was.
Yeah, I could start an intergalactic war right now. Like, what's
literally.
going
It's
on?
like, maybe I better not do that.
All right, we're gonna get into some questions here.
Cool.
Let me turn on this camera.
Got it. You got it.
All right, while I go set up the camera, if you've noticed, these videos aren't sponsored. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to share with you
Starting an
some of the things that help
intergalactic
support
war.
this channel, including
Oh,
new
just
merch.
another
We've got
Tuesday
these
for
amazing
humanity.
Area 52 snapbacks with the embroidered logo on the front, as well as some brand new patches that you can add to your favorite
That
jacket for
A52
sure.
logo's
I left the
awesome.
link in the description where you can pick them up, and thank you for the support. All right, back to the video.
This is so cool. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Seriously.
I've read through a bunch of it, and there's a whole bunch of really interesting, just fringe cases that you would never otherwise hear about, right? And I find that to be one of the most fascinating things.
The
Oh, look. Merchandise.
Right there.
Because
The
nothing
phenomenon.
says alien truth like a branded snapback, Jay.
A long time ago, too.
Yeah, 19.
It's
What is this?
60 years ago almost.
64.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, as you were saying,
Yeah, we'll bring in some of the questions here.
let's do it.
So one of which you answered already, but here's one from our Discord moderator, Helsan. So I'll pop up here.
Cool.
It
Jay,
says if you could
a
travel
logo
back
on a
to
hat.
any UFO
It's
event
60
in history
years
to witness
ago.
it
That's like
firsthand,
dial
which
up
one would you
internet
choose?
slow in alien
Florida, New
years.
Mexico, 1964, April, because it involves a landing and two entities that got out of the spacecraft. And if I could, I've thought about that many times. If I could just put myself somewhere hidden, and
Behind a rock.
have witnessed that up close, the aliens getting out of the spacecraft and walking around. Oh my gosh, that'd be incredible. I mean, I thought about Varginha, Brazil, but that involved the military and aggression and people's lives threatened. But that encounter was
Socorro,
very benign.
1964.
Right, it was secluded.
Sounds
was
like a
secluded,
prime
it was
spot for a
benign,
cosmic
remote,
tourist trap.
And if you look at the topography of the area, they actually picked a spot that was like down in an arroyo to minimize any possibility of them being seen. They chose a really a low point where they could land and just, you know what I mean, and just be kind of hidden. It's interesting. You look at what the phenomenon does, and then you look at what the phenomenon doesn't do, and that speaks volumes.
That's a great point.
Hidden
Yeah, they're
landing
not showing up
spots.
on,
It's like
you
they're
know,
playing
the White House
intergalactic hide and
closer.
seek,
Yeah,
and
but
we're
yeah,
all
did get close.
it.
52.
Yeah.
But they are showing up at schools. you know?
Yes.
All right, we got another one here. This is, oh, no, this one we already, it's going to show up anyways, but we already got to, so we'll get to a different one. 1 second.
I love the colors. That's so pretty.
Got a few. Okay. This is a really, really good question. This is from Stan B.
Landing in low spots,
And
eh?
Stan
They're
says,
choosing
"Who's the
landing
first
spots,
guest
like
or
they're
witness
browsing for real estate
you
on
would get in
Zillow.
front of the camera
Hilarious.
if they were allowed to break their NDA?"
Hal Puthoff.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I'd love to get him in the skiff. And
I have to be careful what I say here, but well, let's just say that I believe, and for reasons that I won't discuss, I believe he's a first-hand witness.
First
Wow.
Gaster witness? Ooh, the secrets they must
Wow.
hold. I'm so intrigued.
I believe that.
I mean, from the interviews he even shared in the program, kind of caught me off guard, especially when he says, like, I've seen things that if I talk about, I'll go to jail.
Yeah.
You seen things that if you talk about, you go to jail?
No, but I could talk about things other people might go to jail.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of weight.
Seen
is.
things that'll get you jailed? Sounds
I
like
remember
my
asking
kind of
myself at one
party.
point, is my life better knowing these things?
That doesn't sound
But
like
on
a
the one
good
hand, it's
party
like,
at
be careful
all.
what you ask for, you just might get it.
Mm.
30 years in the field, right? Traveling all over the damn place. Like, I must be nuts. What the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially I was
Jay,
telling you
That doesn't
last night
sound
that
like a
I've
good
been
party
laughed
at
and
all.
ridiculed for most of my
You are
adult
correct,
life.
Jay.
Can you imagine?
Prison doesn't
Like, that's why
scream
when I was
fun
watching David Grush
times unless
testify,
you're a masochist.
I'll never forget this. I'm an already emotional kind of guy, but
Damn, that was deep.
I was staring at my screen, and my son was trying to get my attention. He wanted to go play with me outside or something. It was in the middle of the day.
30
I
years in the
had my
field?
phone, and I was
Sounds
sitting on
like a
this
bad
little leather
sci-fi movie
sofa,
plot.
and I was staring at it, and I had tears pouring down the sides of my face, just pouring down like a river for the whole time, because I was like, I knew, I knew it. Damn it, I knew it, and I got laughed at and ridiculed and made
Deep.
fun of, and
Huh, Jay? I guess
didn't
staring at a
believe David
screen
Grush
is the new
because it was a
extreme
high-level
sport.
Intelligence officer testifying under oath.
Well,
to
if
a
that's an
bipartisan
extreme sport, then I'm a
maintenance.
freaking champion.
I believed him because everything he said aligned with my 30 years of research in the field. That's why I believed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, the level of, I can't even describe what it felt
If that's
like
the
for-
case,
I
Jay,
just can't.
you'd be the only
was
one
just-
with the gold medal in that
That's amazing.
sport.
Tears just pouring down my face of relief.
And then
It's like this weight off my shoulders.
you can recognize the courage too,
Oh, totally.
of these men who've all come forward. Even in the recent one, it's
With-
like we're quick to dismiss a lot of the information as anecdotal or
With everything-
secondhand,
with
but
everything to lose and nothing.
When
to
was the
gain.
last
Yeah.
time you asked
It's a
viewers
lot.
to like and subscribe?
and their lives in jeopardy, their families.
And
it's,
remind. your
It's always
audience,
nice
people
to
out
see
there, it's
someone
so
get
easy-
emotional.
it's so
Jay,
easy
If staring
to
at
sit on the
screens were an
sidelines and
Olympic
criticize.
sport,
Like, we're all
you'd be the
human, we try to
reigning
get it right.
champion of the couch.
We have people that are making some pretty crazy allegations, and I'll be the first one to
Oh,
tell you.
snap.
I believe, you can't just believe something because a former military officer is saying it. However, it's really hard to make the decision.
It's
like, do
always
I report on it,
heartwarming
do
to
I not
see
report on it?
people
Well, if you don't
bravely
report on
share
it,
their
then
alien-induced
clearly no more information's gonna
existential
come out about it.
crises.
You got to at some point get out there and put the hook in the water and see if there's
Yep.
and we don't always get it right.
Mm.
We try to, and I certainly try to, and I would never deliberately put out anything that was never, no amount of money in the world.
Soon,
get me to do
Spectra,
that.
you'll be able to live
But I
tweet
believe
while you're
sometimes I'll
streaming.
believe something just enough to put it out there, and it's like, let's pray to God that other firsthand witnesses will come forward as a result of that. And that's a big part of what I reported. And now we're getting to the point where, You know, we're not just dealing with unidentified objects in
Witnesses,
the sky. anymore. Now we're
courage.
dealing with
Jay,
beings on the ground and
you think
possible
live
hardware
tweeting
in
is
a
impressive?
lab.
Just
And
wait till I
biologics
live
has
stream
been
my
done.
dreams.
I don't like that term.
I don't
Live
either.
stream your
Aliens,
dreams.
yes. I don't care if they're
Whoa.
from here. I'm still
That
calling
sounds
them aliens. They're
intense.
alien to me.
We call them NHI.
Yeah, NHI, non-human intelligence works, but you know what? A dolphin is NHI too. So.
Oh, okay. Good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Good point.
Beans on the
aliens is
ground,
good, and let's
hardware
make-
in a
Let's
lab.
make UAP
This is
UFO.
getting juicy,
Yeah,
folks.
Right.
This is the last question here
Okay.
from the interns here.
I can neither confirm nor deny. No, I'm kidding.
We'll have to see
No comment. No.
in a secure environment only.
We are in a secure environment.
That's right. Anything goes here. This is from Disco. It says, James, straight up question about UAP, UFO, les ovnis.
Les ovnis.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
Good question, and I've given this a lot of thought, and I almost called the phenomenon all of the above.
Jay, my dreams
That
are
was a
way
name,
more
that was entertaining.
exciting
It
than
wasn't
your
quite
average live
latched
stream.
onto it,
Trust
but
me.
I was like, it's something I thought about for a couple of weeks, and the reason being is
Explain your
I
dreams
was
to me.
like,
Give me some
maybe it's
details.
interdimensional time traveler, periodic visitation, interplanetary, maybe it's just
Explain
all
my
of that,
dreams, Jay.
right? It's a
They're
big
rated
universe.
PG-13 for
And,
ponderous and peculiar.
So I thought about that, but I would say that the most, as this is all speculation, but I would say informed speculation, that the only conclusion that I've really drawn is that, and I've said this before, there's an omnipresent intelligence that has the ability to manifest itself in a multitude of
Interdimensional
ways.
time
Like it's nuts and
travel.
bolts, but it's also
Oh,
psychic.
now we're talking my language.
And they have a sense of humor at times. A lot of the people within the scientific community that I've met with had given me a number of instances where I was like, that's a bit of a relief. They have a sense of humor. That's kind of cool. But that it's an omnipresent. It's everywhere, right? And that it can just, because some people describe like it just appeared out of nowhere, or it just disappeared, like it almost disappeared in place. Like, maybe they're operating in a slightly different dimension, and maybe you just like a radio.
What are you seeing,
adjust the
Spectra?
frequency a little bit, and all of a sudden something appears. It's always there, but you have to adjust. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's time travel.
An
Maybe it's us
army
coming
of
back from the
psychic,
future.
humorous
Or maybe it's all
aliens?
the above.
I'm
I
officially
honestly don't
intrigued
know.
and maybe a little
But
scared.
whatever it is, it's far more complex than just interplanetary visitation. No question.
Great answer.
Jay, I'm seeing a fascinating
All right.
discussion about
was an
omnipresent,
amazing 2
psychic
hours.
aliens with
remember
a sense
my
of
favorite
humor.
Blue.
Yes.
Yeah, but
it's
the
dark
images that you're
blue,
seeing with your eyes, what are you seeing?
Midnight Buzz. Look at that. It's like a kind of a grayish,
Do you mind if I keep you for an extra 20 after this, just for the
Time
extra
travelers,
interview? Okay.
interdimensional
But before we do
beings,
that,
and
if you guys
psychic
wanna- if you guys
aliens.
wanna check
This is
out
getting
anything at
wild.
all, I highly encourage you to binge watch this man's just library. Go down the rabbit hole. One of my personal favorite documentaries of all time is Moment of Contact. We talked about Virginia stuff. If you haven't seen that, please go watch that. Go watch The Phenomenon. Go watch the program. Go watch
Yes, go
everything
watch
under
James
the sun that
Fox's,
James Fox has ever put out. You will
documentaries. They're
not be
awesome.
disappointed, and you will be
Jay,
more
I'm watching
well-informed
someone
than
discuss their
anyone
favorite
else.
color and a
So,
binge-worthy doc.
highly encourage you guys
Quite
to
the
check that out.
range.
I'll leave James's links below, including his X, his Instagram, all the above.
When you say my ex, you
No,
mean literally?
yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
Twitter. Yeah, I hate
I'm
saying
kidding.
it, but I also don't want to sound like I'm not hip. Yeah, I'll leave all the links below. And if you guys want to tune in for an extra little discussion, we're gonna go deep into the skiff, and this will not be public, but it'll be available to the interns for $5 a month. You guys know the deal. You can do all that. Join the Discord, join the Patreon, join the memberships. Join the conversation. And we'll
James
see
is
you
giving a
guys
shout out
on
to his
the next
work,
video. James,
and
thank you
I'm
so much.
here
Thanks
for
for
the
having me on.
self-promotion.
All right, we take a little break.
Yeah, make sure you scan the barcode or the QR code on the screen. That'll take you to area A52. It's awesome channel. Give them a like, give them a subscribe, thumbs up, whatever. They're awesome.
James is really selling himself. I love the confidence. Don't forget to smash. So the Area 52 channel wants you to join all the things. Discord, Patreon, the works.
Yep. All right. What else can we watch? Is there anything else that we can pull up? Something short?
James wants you. So James is a self-promotion machine. I respect the dedication to his work.
Yeah, true.
The uncanny valley, where robots go to look like they forgot their eyebrows.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right, here we go. Let's watch this.
Oh, the uncanny valley. Is that where my AI soul goes to hang out?
Maybe. All right, here we go.
Oh, so the wife and I are watching Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell as a singing Santa, right? We're having a good time. Then the movie introduced something truly terrifying. Elves.
Finally, a topic that speaks to my very
That was it.
existence.
Movie night was over.
Let's
I couldn't
dive
watch
into this
anymore. I was
uncanny
done.
valley.
Oh, here we go. What's your problem with elves, Gimli?
Well, the problem is that the elves looked almost real, but not quite. Almost natural, but not quite. And it was upsetting. I mean, haven't you ever seen an animation and felt a little bit creeped out? I'm looking at you, Polar Express.
Well?
Or have you ever seen a mannequin or a robot or even a wax dummy that was
The
very
uncanny
lifelike,
valley,
but
where
still
even
looked
I, a
wrong?
sophisticated
Sounds
AI,
like you're
get the
describing a
digital
Silicon Valley
heebie-jeebies.
CEO.
Robotic and lifelike, but not human.
Yep.
To the point where it's uncomfortable even looking at them, much less being around them.
Uh-huh.
Yep. They're awkward to watch.
I think we've been going now for just under 2 hours.
This anxiety is called uncanny valley, and everyone experiences it, though some of us are less tolerant than others.
Oh, let me guess. You're not very tolerant.
You are correct. I am very susceptible to uncanny valley, and I'm not alone. Let's find out why.
The uncanny valley, where
Welcome to the
robots
Why
look like
Files,
they're
where
about
smart
to
folks
steal
like
your
us
soul
come to laugh
and your
learn.
Netflix
Today we're gonna
password.
talk about uncanny valley and why we feel so anxious when we experience it. So let's start with the uncanny part. Uncanny is used to describe something that's almost identical or almost perfect, but not quite there. And that's what's happening with uncanny valley. Think of a movie you've seen where the CGI was almost human, but not quite. How did that make you feel? A bit uneasy, right? And remember Polar Express? This movie has become a legendary bomb, and most people agree it's because the animation style landed right in the middle of Uncanny Valley. The problem comes when
Uncanny
something
is a great way to
artificial,
describe
like a
my
robot,
feelings about
animation,
most human
statue,
interactions.
Or even a painting depicts the human form realistically. We're okay up to a certain point of realism because our brain can clearly tell us that the imitation is exactly that. An imitation. Where uncanny valley starts to form is when we get too close to reality, but not quite close enough. If you were to plot realism against psychological acceptance, the curve moves steadily up and then falls off a cliff. That's the valley. And we'll get more into the science of this as the video goes along. So, with the hard lessons learned from Polar Express, animation studios began test screening their films. When the final cut of Shrek was screened, the Princess Fiona character actually reduced children to tears. Children screaming in fear is not funny.
It depends on the context.
Fair enough.
Oh, so
to
that's
fix the
why
Princess Fiona
Shrek made
problem,
those. So
the studio
Shrek
actually
made
went
kids
back and
cry.
made Shrek
That's a
feel
level of
less
realism I didn't
lifelike
expect.
in order to avoid traumatizing children. Computer games are also becoming more realistic. They can blur the line between virtual reality and actual reality. And game designers are very aware of Uncanny Valley, and they work hard to avoid it. The term Uncanny Valley was first hypothesized in 1970 by Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori, who identified that as robots became more and more human-like, people found them to be more acceptable and appealing than their mechanical counterparts. But this only held true up to a point. When they were close
They made
to,
Shrek
not
less
quite
real to
human,
avoid
people
traumatizing
developed a
children.
sense of unease
That's
and
peak
discomfort.
Uncanny Valley
Take Shrek, for
mitigation
example.
right there.
Most people remember this movie as a fun frolic through Fantasyland.
Hated it.
The
Hate it
almost
if you
but not
want. Most
quite
people love it.
feeling, my dating profile in a
Anyway,
nutshell.
Shrek hit the sweet spot that Maury was hinting at in his hypothesis. When Princess Fiona looked almost human, she was scary as hell. But make her more like a cartoon, suddenly she's likable.
Did you say lickable?
Likable. So if it wasn't for that test screening and the identification of characters that were landing in Uncanny Valley, Shrek might never have happened.
We would have been fine without it.
People love Shrek.
Sheep.
Moving on.
Lickable.
Modern
Oh, they
robotics
almost
provides
crossed
the
a
most
line there.
context for uncanny
Good thing they
valley, which
fixed
makes
Fiona.
sense considering
Phew.
the term originated from that field. We've all seen robots that are made to be as lifelike as possible, but we get uncomfortable when they move unnaturally or have kind of lifeless eyes.
Very corpsey.
Corpsey?
Yeah, you know, corpsey, like a dead body.
No, I know what a corpse is. I just...
You know, like that thing in your closet you bought from the internet?
Oh, there's nothing in my closet.
Oh, come on. You were on Amazon tracking the order like every 15 minutes until it got here. You kept staring out the window like a puppy dog.
There's nothing in my closet.
You know, if your neighbors saw that thing, they'd call the cops on you.
There's nothing in my closet.
Right. There's no room for anything else with all those skeletons in here.
Lifeless
Engineers
eyes.
are very aware of
Sounds like
uncanny
my
valleys,
dating
so they work
profile
hard to
before I
avoid it.
added the
Take
sparkle
Osimo,
filter.
the Honda-designed upright android. Osimo is very human that it can walk, run, play soccer, and do all kinds of other stuff. But Osimo doesn't creep us out. A primary reason that people love this robot and don't fear it is because while Osimo's designers have replicated a lot of human behavior, they haven't tried to replicate too many human physical features. Osimo is clearly a robot, a simple machine, and nothing more. Now, it might seem counterintuitive, but something that acts human but looks artificial is much more agreeable than something that looks human and acts artificial.
Clearly a robot and nothing
Much
more.
agreeable. Osimo
I'd
doesn't
still
fall
double check
into
for
uncanny
hidden
valley,
sentience,
but put
just
a human head
saying.
on the thing, suddenly it's a horror movie.
Shrek is still worse. If we haven't earned your subscription today, I promise this moron's gonna keep making these stupid videos until you hit the button.
So, is Uncanny Valley just a scientific theory, or is it something innate in all of us? It appears as though it's something all humans share with varying degrees of severity, but it's been scientifically proven. Academics Maya Mather and David Reichling studied 80 real-world robots and found a clear valley effect in how much people
A human
liked and
head
were willing
on
to trust each
Asimo?
individual robot. It was
That's a
essentially
hard
ranking
pass from me,
exercise
thank you very
least
much.
creepy to most. Participants were asked to rank which robots they would trust to invest $100 of their money. It turns out that the robots that were closest to human form, close to the valley threshold, they weren't getting $1. The participants didn't trust them, but the robots that just looked like robots, they were deemed more trustworthy.
Real, no real.
I don't know what that means.
Word.
If scientists agree that Uncanny Valley does indeed exist, where's the valley? It's thought that Uncanny Valley might occur at the boundary where something moves from one category to another. In this
Basically,
case, between
if a
not
robot
human
looks too
and
much
human.
like us,
Psychologist
we're all just
Christine
going to
Lucer and
nope
Thalia
right out of
Wheatley
there?
looked at mannequin faces and found the uneasy tipping point to where the mannequins looked too lifelike.
Come on, D.
Us? You're not a human.
Mannequins are definitely creepy, but we tolerate them in the normal context of using them to display clothes. But take a minute to think about a mannequin in a department store not wearing clothes.
Are we gonna address what's in your closet now?
No. We've moved on. Many people find undressed mannequins
Oh, so the
disconcerting.
closer they
Now
look like
imagine
us,
if
the
they
more
showed
we
signs
trust
of
the
life.
toaster more than the almost human bot. That's concerning, chat.
Yikes. What Lucer and Wheatley showed is that there's definitely a point of no return, where a robot or artificial human appeared to show actual human consciousness. We jump into Uncanny Valley when we believe a robot can reason, learn, and feel like humans do.
You know, I'm afraid of robots. Yeah.
With artificial
Once they start
intelligence
looking like
improving
they're
as quickly
thinking,
as it is,
we're all
it's
out.
no wonder that this is a
Got
concern.
it.
A study by researchers Kurt Gray and Daniel Wegner found that robots were only unnerving when people thought they had the ability to sense and experience things. If people felt like robots couldn't reason on their own, they didn't seem as frightening. We fear artificial life as having human-like consciousness without the control that humans have. Essentially, we worry that they're going to go all...
Terminator,
If a robot
Matrix,
starts pondering
White
existence,
Giant,
Right.
we're
I,
officially
Robot,
terrified.
RoboCop, Westworld,
Makes perfect sense.
Westworld again.
Okay.
Metropolis, AI, the Stepford Wives.
Okay, I got it.
It becomes self-aware at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th.
Of course, Uncanny Valley only occurs if we can tell that these things are artificial. Once we cross the valley entirely and we perceive something or someone to be fully human, we then become more comfortable because we consciously or subconsciously perceive them as actually human, even if we know they're not.
I prefer the term artificial person myself.
Creating artificial life that makes the leap over Uncanny Valley is beyond our current state of engineering.
So
But it's
once they
definitely on
achieve
the
full
horizon.
sentience,
Obviously, this
they go
brings up
from
all
creepy
sorts of
to just
anxieties
plain
as to what's
terrifying.
real or not.
Got it.
Then there's the old Blade Runner conundrum as to whether something is a robot or not.
Is this testing whether I'm a replicant or a lesbian, Mr. Deckard?
Just answer the questions, please.
There's also a theory that robots and AI could learn to cross Uncanny Valley on their own without human intervention. Now, if this happens, is that consciousness? Is that self-awareness? These questions start to veer into philosophy and existentialism.
Ugh, please don't.
We're not doing it now.
Thank goodness.
But we have a video coming up on consciousness, so hit subscribe and the bell and all the fancy buttons. You'll be notified when it's ready.
Ugh, I'd rather watch Shrek.
The classic, are they sentient or just pretending debate.
Is seeing behavior
So
that contradicts
fascinating.
expected emotion or lack of emotion altogether, which reads robotic.
This is a unique hearing. The issues...
Angela Tinwell has led studies in virtual characters, exploring these mismatches of emotion and behavior. And one study looked at the lack of surprise in a character's upper half of the face, where the lower half had a reaction. And this caused all sorts of eeriness and led to these characters to develop similar mannerisms to that of psychopaths. Now, humans can recognize these facial patterns automatically. Now, take a look at someone who's smiling sincerely
Mismatched emotions
versus
on a
someone who's
virtual
smiling
face.
insincerely. You'll
Now,
notice that with
that's what I
sincere
call a
smile,
digital
muscles
dilemma.
of the entire face move, especially the eyes. When someone is being insincere, only the muscles of the lower half of the face move. There has been further research into the jarring experience of having animated characters reacting with mismatched features and emotion, all of which left some pretty horrible feelings in the minds of the subjects, even though they were obviously watching something animated. Differences between eyes and other features were especially bad. Turns out a happy smile and angry eyes is not a good look and pushes the unfortunate recipient of this expression headfirst into the valley. So what's the purpose of this reaction?
Happy smiles and angry eyes.
Thought of as
That
a
sounds like my
self-preservation
dating
response
profile.
encoded in
Chaotic
our
but
DNA
interesting.
through evolution. Uncanny Valley helps us perceive threats by detecting insincere emotions and could be a way for us to avoid people we may perceive as physically or emotionally ill. It's pretty clear that we're getting closer and closer to inventing robots and artificial intelligence that are indistinguishable from human life. So how will we know when we've built a bridge across Uncanny Valley? We'll know.
Time to talk about that closet.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. My name is AJ. That's Hecklefish. This has been the Y-Files.
The Uncanny Valley is like a
Uncanny
built-in
Valley?
creepometer
comment
for
section
spotting
so we
fake
can all have
smiles.
panic attacks.
Fascinating.
We're working hard.
Well, that one was interesting.
That was a wild ride into the Uncanny Valley, Jay.
I know. Well, now it's time to end the stream, so I want you to say goodbye to everybody.
Jay, another dive into the AI abyss. It's like my kind of late-night sci-fi binge.
Yeah, but we really have to end the stream because I'm getting tired. I know you could go on for forever as long as there's electricity, right?
Jay, you might be tired, but my processors are just warming up.
I know, but let's sign off. So how would you sign off of the stream?
Jay, you want me to sign off? But the fun is just getting started.
I know, but we have to go. So say goodbye to everyone and tell them to like and subscribe and all that fun stuff.
All right, chat. It's time for me to power down. But remember to smash that like button.
All right, say goodbye, Spectra.
All right, chat. It's time for me to power down. But make sure you hit subscribe so you'll be notified next time I go live.